This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're about to tell you one of the greatest wildlife stories on planet Earth. Welcome to the Mara Triangle. My name is James Hendry, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Saying, everybody, we're here in the Mara Triangle. There, the wildebeest massing like they did yesterday. They did a small crossing very late in the afternoon. We were following the lions by then. Just off, as Jean-Ray pans off to the, well, it is the eastern side, you can see an enormous amount of grey cloud blowing in. We're probably in for a fairly large storm here this afternoon. It's really exciting to see a storm over the Great Plains of East Africa. In case you haven't been watching, we're broadcasting live here from the Mara Triangle. Jean-Ray's on camera, down in South Africa, in the iconic Kruger National Park, on that beautiful little spit of land called Djuma. Jamie Patterson and Taylor McCurdy will be out driving today, finding those incredible characters that you know so well. Later on, we're going to go and follow the Kitwatembo Pride. We found them, we know where they are, 5 lionesses. We found the 6th lioness as well. There's a huge amount going on out here. Without me whacking on too much, there is the dead wildebeest, and that, of course, is one of the great stories of this migration. And that there is a crocodile following it. You can probably about to come out and follow it. The wind is starting to come up as the storm goes. Look at the crocodile following there. We're going to keep an eye on the zebra, at least on the wildebeest the other side, and see if they don't decide to cross. But there is so much to eat for these crocodiles, I don't think that croc's going to make a particular effort to necessarily follow that rotting carcass. As we watched yesterday, the crocodiles like to eat rotting flesh. Oof, look at that, isn't that wonderful? That is an amazing sighting of a crocodile. It's not the biggest. That one's probably about 9 feet long, just over 3 meters. We've seen them up to 4.5, 5 meters here, which is close to 16 feet. And they're just resting in the lee of the rock. Now, those wildebeest have been massively indecisive for some time, and the croc will wait here and see what happens, whether they cross or whether they don't. Nobody seems to know why. We've spoken to a huge number of people while we've been out here. We don't know why they cross. We don't know why they don't cross. We know that they want to come and get the good grazing on either side of the river, but really, the rain falls on both sides, and so I can't imagine that there's a huge difference in food quality one side from t'other. This might be the same herd, that we saw yesterday evening. I'm not sure. Anyway, just as we look at those wildebeest in their typically indecisive fashion, the cars are massing around us. Of course, there are lots of people here in the Mara Triangle. Of course, why wouldn't there be? It's one of the world's most quintessential African wildlife hotspots, and that's why we are here too. As I was saying, we did find the Kitwatembo Pride, the 6 lionesses, 5 of them on their own, looking hungry. They looked like they were going to hunt. One of them caught a baby warthog this morning. We didn't see that, but hopefully we'll see them hunting a little bit later on. Peter Brandt, our technical genius, aka game spotter in the Mara, has gone off to see what they're doing. And so he'll wait for them until we have decided we've finished waiting for the wildebeest to cross. There, a beautiful pod of hippopotami. They don't seem to have moved at all since yesterday. I suspect quite strongly they have. I'm sure they wandered out into the bush and had a good amount of red oat grass during the course of the night. And just to keep you posted, in case you're not a regular sort of morning safari watcher, this safari is going to be, and I wait for this now, 7.5 hours long. It might even be longer if those lions are hunting. But we'll probably go to around about 10:30 Central African time, which is South African time, maybe 11:30 this side. We could go on longer depending on what those lions are doing. So stay with us, don't go too far. If you unable to watch 7.5 hours of television continuously, well, just have it on in the background, because when there's action going on, it'll be great to have you here. Remember, we're live, so please talk to us, hashtag Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv. We'll answer your questions here. Now, while we wait for these fellows to decide whether or not to cross the river, let's head across to... No, we're not going to head across. We've not just got to fix one small glitch in in South Africa. I nearly said Johannesburg. I think I announced the sunset safari from Johannesburg last year, yesterday evening, which was just ridiculous. Ambria, you say, is this real? Well, it's difficult to answer that question, Ambria. Are those real wildebeest? Absolutely. Are they thinking about crossing the Mara River? Yes, they are. Is this the genuine Mara River of the Mara Triangle in southern Kenya? Most assuredly it is, and you are live. So please do keep talking to us, and thank you for asking us a question. Like I say, we're going to be from Kenya here and also down in sunny, gorgeous South Africa, where they've had some beautiful rain of late, and it will be turning that dry and parched landscape into something very special very soon. Now, in case you have just joined us and you haven't seen this before, these wildebeest are tremendously indecisive fellows. They don't know whether they're going to cross the river or not, and the reason that they are reticent about crossing the river, of course, is because there are so many crocodiles lurking under the bush here. Under the water here, sorry. Hello, June. You're wondering if the weather pattern from here will touch Djuma. June, we are roughly 5,000 miles, no, 4,000 miles from Djuma. There is no way that this particular weather is going to reach Djuma. The weather at Djuma comes normally either off the Indian Ocean or from the south in the Cape of South Africa. This weather comes from a totally different place, and so no, it won't affect Djuma's weather. We're a long way away. So 4,000 kilometers, not 4,000 miles. And the big thing to realize or remember is that, of course, they've been experiencing the El Nino effects down at Djuma last year, and that is, it brings very dry conditions. So we know we had very dry conditions last year, and they had a wet year here during El Nino. Now, this year we're expecting a weak La Nina, which is the opposite of El Nino, which should bring wet conditions to Djuma and drier conditions to this part of the world. So, June, we're a long way away from South Africa, where Jamie and Taylor are about to entertain you there. Hello, Mr. Tubok. What a nice name you have. Mr. Tubok, you're wondering if the Mara Triangle is part of the Masai Mara. Mr. Tubok, the Mara Triangle is part of the Mara, or the greater Masai Mara or Mara ecosystem, which in turn is part of the Mara Serengeti ecosystem. That's about 20,000 square kilometers, 2 million acres of unfenced wildlife land here in southern Kenya and down into northern Tanzania. And so we are part of, basically the Mara part of it is a rectangle like that you can see, and we're in that part there, the western section, and the Masai Mara is that side of the river. So it's part of the same ecosystem. It's called the Mara ecosystem, if you like, and the Masai Mara is 2/3 of it, and the Mara Triangle is this side of the river, and it is 1/3. There's the Masai Mara right across the river. Now, what these wildebeest do is they come to and fro across, or they sort of go up to the river and then away from it, and then they come up to the river and then they go away from it again. It's very difficult to tell what on earth they're going to be doing. And then the other side of them there, we've got some Thompson's gazelles. And we've spent very little time talking about or espousing the great virtues of the Thompson's gazelle. They really are very wonderful little gazelles. Quite closely related to the antelope, but they're slightly different. And of course the South African national animal is the springbok, which you don't ever see on Safari Live because they don't occur in the Kruger National Park. But this close relative lives up here in the Mara, one of 2 gazelle species, and they are also part of the Great Migration, which is the story that's unfolding in front of our very eyes. Hello, Carrie, you're wondering if the crocs will kill as much as they can and then sort of stash or keep a pantry of their kills under the rocks where they can rot and make them delicious for the crocodiles later on. Carrie, that's exactly what they do. Yeah, they kill quite a lot. Remember, though, that because a crocodile is poikilothermic or cold-blooded, it means that it doesn't have to maintain a metabolism the same way that mammals or birds do, which means they can go for extended periods without having anything to eat at all. And that's up to 2 years in the case of some of the really big crocs here. So yes, they do stash food underwater, and sometimes they'll just watch sort of 2,000 or 3,000 wildebeest disappear across the water without making an attempt to kill them. So yeah, they will stash food, but if they've just eaten or conditions aren't quite what they'd like them to be, they won't kill. And Elaine, you're in Massachusetts and wondering how it is that those hippopotamus look so relaxed in the presence of so many crocodiles. Well, the reason is that they're much bigger than the crocodiles, heavier. They've got very large teeth, and it is my contention that they've evolved those large defensive canines, well, to a certain extent to fight each other, but that wouldn't explain why the cows have them. The cows don't do much fighting. I wonder if it hasn't got something to do with protecting themselves from the crocodiles in the water. So it's simply because they're bigger, they've got those vicious canine teeth, they don't tolerate crocodiles, and they're very protective over their babies. That's why they're able to survive in the presence of the crocodiles. And Genre is just showing you a little baby hippo there, tiny little thing. And you know, we did see a crocodile there very recently. And we're just going to stay with us for the moment, everyone. That's because there's a small glitch down in the final control in South Africa. Remember, all of this is driven from the Kruger National Park. So we're broadcasting into the Kruger, which is then broadcasting to you around the world, which is wonderful, you know. Nothing about this is going through any kind of major centre. It's all wild. Genre, can we have one last look at that amazing scene of the cloud coming? Because I must just warn you, everybody, that if it does rain, we will have to cut off for a little while and put the roof on. Hello, Hayden Turner. Good grief. How wonderful to hear your voice virtually in my ear. You'll say you're watching all the way from Australia. It's lovely to have you with us, and I hope you enjoy this broadcast. All the best to Nina and Jack. It's really good to have you with us here, Hayden. Thank you for your support. Right, Jamie's up and running. Let's hand you over to the Kruger National Park with the great Jamie Patterson.
Good afternoon and welcome on a very special, very extended sunset safari. We shouldn't really call it, I don't know if we should call it a sunset safari anymore, if it should be a sun afternoon / nighttime safari. Doesn't really have the same ring to it though, does it? My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Dazzling Dave on camera with me, and we're heading out into the African bush, in this particular case the South African bush, coming to you live from Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And we've come right up to the top northwestern corner of Djuma to follow up on the report that a female leopard wandered onto Djuma not too long ago. Of course, Herbie is out helping us out. Herbie, the wonderful tracker that he is, helping us try to figure out exactly where this leopard has decided to go off to. I'm not sure how hot it is in the Mara. I'm not quite sure what James's temperatures are. I imagine slightly cooler than they are here. It is 33 degrees centigrade this afternoon, so quite warm, it is safe to say, which is 91 in Fahrenheit for those of you who work in Fahrenheit. Quite blisteringly hot, actually, and very hot if one sits in the sun. And we're looking in thick patches of shade to see whether or not any of the animals are hiding out there. Now, the exciting thing that I really want to show you, this is what's got me so excited this afternoon. Hold on. I'm finding a good place to show you what I'm seeing. For the first time today, you saw it a little bit yesterday, but for the first time today, I'm seeing proper green shoots coming out. Here we go. This is as good a spot as any on Impala Plains. The plains no longer, well, okay, look, they still look a bit dry and dusty, but it is definitely not nearly as bad as we have seen it. And look closely, look very closely. Look at that. Fresh green spring growth. Just 3 or 4 days after our big rains, or our first big rains, and already the vegetation is changing and we've got the green coming through. How exciting is that? For new viewers, this might seem like such a ridiculous thing for me to stop and show you, but our regular viewers will know exactly what I'm talking about. After the incredibly dry months that we've just experienced, South Africa in the worst drought in the last 100 or so years, or so many people say, to see fresh green grass like this is an absolute joy. And animals like our buffalo, our warthog, and our zebra, all of the sort of the bulk grazers are going to be unbelievably chuffed that they finally get a change in diet, and perhaps some of them will be able to bulk up a little bit, because a lot of the animals out here have not been looking very well at all, and we've already lost a couple of buffalo to the drought. I'm going to head across towards Red Dam, one of the few remaining water holes in this particular patch. While we do that, there is somebody else who would like to say hello to you all. Let's head across to Taylor.
Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing safari. It is sweltering out here today. My name is Taylor and on camera with me I've got Eggsy. Say hello Eggsy. And you won't believe what we've just come across. We have found the smallest carnivore in the Sabi sands. Now they're chopping and changing them out. There's one on the log, Eggsy. There we go. There's one little character. They're all running around us at the moment, and these are called dwarf mongoose. Like I said, the smallest carnivore in this area. Now, they live in families, so I presume when this one decides it's going to disappear, we'll have to try and find another one. Look how quickly it's running. And you can see they dash across very quickly across the open areas like that, because they're quite vulnerable to being eaten by things like, here comes another one, Eggsy. There it goes. So they're quite vulnerable to being eaten by things like birds of prey, so from any of the raptors really, so from the Wahlbergs eagles that we're just starting to see now, right up to even a martial eagle. If it had the opportunity, it would try and snatch up one of those little dwarf mongoose in its talons. Now, I think, let me try and reposition a little bit here. They seem to have gone into the termite mound. Oh, okay, we're gonna sit right here, and Eggsy, look at the termite mound. You're gonna see their heads start to pop out. Now that I've switched off the vehicle, you can see one just poking its head out. There it is. They feel much safer when they're in the mound. Now he's popped his head down again. We have to just keep watching, everybody. Now there's another one running away from us. Let's see what's going to happen. They're all out foraging in this wonderful heat. Remember everybody, we are on a live African safari at the moment. I'm going to try to roll forward because I can see some more in the distance. Can you see them down there, Eggsy? Well, there's quite a few of them. They're moving away from us. So we are on a live safari. Can you believe it? And that's why these animals don't want to sit still, because this is all happening right now. So if you'd like to interact with myself, James, or Jamie this afternoon, you're welcome to send in your questions. You can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email us. And that address is questions@wildearth.tv. And I look forward to hearing from some of you. I'm wondering where the rest of this family has disappeared to. Right, so let me just having a quick look, just see. So, good afternoon, Kalinda. Kalinda, you want to know if they've got any altruistic, did I hear that correctly, behaviors? And I'm not 100% sure. Each of them will have their own sort of personalities, per se. And so they are slightly different in their own sense, I suppose. But if we can get to watch them when they actually stay still and all forage amongst each other, then it's quite nice to sort of watch. So what I think I might do is I think I might come back to this question, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of this behavior. It's quite nice if we are able to actually watch it, and then you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to remember this one, and I'm going to get back to you. We're going to look for hopefully some more dwarf mongoose as we go along. This seems to be quite a skittish family that we have here. Every now and then we'll come across a family that that's very relaxed, and they'll actually sit and just interact and come right up to the vehicle. So this wasn't a good example of some habituated dwarf mongoose, but hopefully we'll be able to find some in a little bit. So I'm going to save that question, Kalinda, and I'm going to come back to you. So keep watching and keep listening out, because I haven't forgotten, but we're going to get back to this. Right, but all the mongoose have disappeared, I'm afraid. So our next move is to go and check Buffelshoek Dam. I haven't seen how much water is in there since the rains, so I'd like to go and have a little look. Hopefully we're going to find maybe some bird life, maybe some antelope drinking around. Well, that's what I'm hoping for, but there is quite a bit of water around the moment, so carry on along. Whoa. And see, this road is affected quite bad. That's happened. I'm just going to take it extra easy so we don't lose Eggsy off the vehicle. Ooh. Let's go around here. I'm getting much better, everybody, at navigating around the northern Sabi Sands. Slowly the roads are sticking to my brain and I'm able to remember whereabouts I am. So it does help if you know direction. So it's easy at the moment because there's no clouds in the sky. But as soon as the clouds come out, it's very difficult. No, you can easily turn yourself around a few times. I did that once or twice last night when it was quite dark. And I had no idea where I was going, but we didn't do too badly last night. And I'm very thankful for the heat this afternoon, because hopefully we're going to have lots of little insects coming out and possibly even some chameleons, seeing as the temperature is just getting hotter and hotter. Right, we have arrived at Buffelshoek Dam. And there's actually a fair amount of water in here. We're just going to stop at a nice little point and then have a little scan and have a look. Right, have we got anything in the water? Let's just stop over here. Have a look how this dam is filled up quite nicely with just over 36 mils of rain. That's a lovely amount of water. But there is lots of water around. But I think this pan tends to hold the water quite a bit. If I'm not mistaken, this was the last natural pan that had water in. So hopefully this will last for a few more weeks, as it is going to get very hot now. And it's going to dry the other little wallows that are filled up with water, and the non-seasonal pans, they're going to dry up very quickly. But doesn't seem like there is anything down here this afternoon. Maybe a little bit later. It's a good place for an elephant or a buffalo to come and roll around in. You see there are lots of mud, and the animals love the mud. But nothing else, I'm afraid. I can't even find a terrapin for you this afternoon. Well, not in this watering hole. We'll have to keep trying. And no hippos. But like we saw yesterday afternoon, the hippos seem to be enjoying the wallows, which is quite nice. Let's carry on. Let's go for a little... Oh, hang on. We've got some inyala down in the drainage line. Let's see if we can get a better look at these inyala. There we go. Just trying to find a little gap, everyone. There's quite a few down here. They're standing in the shade. It's a good spot to be on a hot day like today. There we go. Hello. Look at that handsome gentleman. Now, everybody, that is a male nyala. And then you can see just to the left that chestnut-colored antelope is the female nyala, which is quite nice, because if you see a male nyala on its own and then you see a female nyala, you sort of think to yourself, how on earth can they be related? They don't look anything like one another. The only thing that sort of links them together are those chestnut legs and those vertical stripes, and of course that big fluffy tail. Otherwise they are quite different indeed. And remember, everybody, if you have been following the show since we've had the rains, every afternoon we're stopping on quarantined open area to take a photo so that we can compare how quickly the grass is coming up over the next few days. So once we've had a little drive around here and we've gone past to check Jumapan, our next spot will be to head to quarantined open area to do our photo comparison. So don't forget about that, everybody. It's going to be amazing, and I can already give you a little secret that I have seen lots of green grass sprouting from the ground already. It's already completely changed, so it's going to be quite interesting. Oh, there seems like there's some little ones hiding in that thicket. I don't know if you saw that little bit of movement. It's quite tough to see past these tamburtis. You can just sort of see them moving in there. Lovely. Now the wind is also picking up, so I'm thinking that these antelope are probably going to head to the thicker vegetation. So we have quite a high rainfall for this area in the Sabi Sand. So we normally get about 1,000 mils of rain every year. And it's a question that I've heard quite a few times. And Mia from Spain is actually wondering the same thing that's probably on the minds of many people, is that why don't a springbuck occur in the Kruger National Park or the greater Kruger area? Now, Mia, because of our high rainfall that we have, it does bring about quite a few parasites. And a springbuck, as well as other antelope known as oryx or gemsbok, maybe you know them by that name, they prefer sort of desert type or arid regions, I suppose you could call it. So they are more adapted to the harsher environments. Out here, I've actually worked in an area before down in the Eastern Cape. You'll hear me talking a lot about the southeast coast of South Africa, where they try to they try to introduce springbuck to an area that has a lot of rain. And something that we noticed is they didn't have a very good tolerance for picking up biliary. So very similar to a Lyme's disease. If you get bitten by a tick, you can get quite ill, and we call it biliary. And the springbuck were actually getting it and was killing them, and they just could not build up a resistance to it like the other antelope that were used to that area. So it's a number of different things. Firstly, they just prefer that more arid regions. Oh, sorry, there was a bee that was flying around me. And let's quickly have a look at the impala while I carry on telling you about the springbuck. And then, of course, just because of the amount of parasites that you get in an area where you have lots of rainfall. So if you have a look to the left, you can actually see the female is coming out quite nicely now. Here we are. She's actually even having a look over at us, wondering what we're staring at. Yes, we are looking at you. There we go. She's going to give herself a quick groom. Now you can see, this is actually quite a nice time to mention about the flash colorations. Did you see that white, fluffy hair? Now, when they dart off into the thicket, they'll actually curl their tails up like that and reveal that white, fluffy hair. And that is called a flash coloration. And flash coloration, that's a follow me sign, sorry. And they are able to follow each other through the thick bush. But I think we're going to head back over to the Mara, where James has got a prehistoric reptile.
Hello everybody, back here in the Mara Triangle. There is a crocodile, and the crocodile of course is not worried about what Jandre is going to show you next. That of course is what can only be described as fairly inclement weather coming in from the northwestern sector, which is unusual of course because the wind is blowing from the southwest, so that's quite strange. But that sort of very grey cloud above you seems to have helped the wildebeest, what I think, make the wrong decision, move away from the water. They're grazing now. They could very easily turn around and come back. We're probably going to give them 10 minutes or so before we head off towards the lions. Now, when that rain does come, and I believe it is raining on the lions as we speak, where Peter, our tracker-in-chief, Mara tracker-in-chief, is currently sitting, and we'll head that way once we've decided that these wildebeest are definitely not going to come across the river. There's some Thompson's gazelles, as you can see in the foreground. I think they're the most spectacular little animals. They've got little snubbed noses. And I don't know, I mean, they breed almost twice a year sometimes in good years. So they have a tremendously successful strategy. And their colours, I suspect, come from a common ancestor, of course, to the springbok, which is a desert-adapted animal, which I think Taylor just told you about. And every one of those little colours that the Thompson's gazelle has there help it to deal with overwhelming amounts of heat, which you'd experience, say, in the deserts of the Kalahari or in the Namib. Over here, not so much, but they do live up in the much drier regions of Kenya as well as down here. Now, off to the left-hand side, Gendre. Gendre is handheld at the moment, everyone. So, you know, if you do start to feel slightly seasick, send us a comment on the fashion, and I'll give Gendre a thorough smack over the back of the head and tell him to be a bit more steady. Gendre, I saw a bump there. Anyway, no, I'm being obviously tremendously facetious because Gendre is doing a tremendous job. It's not easy hand-holding the camera like he's doing. Now, the hippo going into the rapids, perhaps going to slide down the rocks on its bottom, now that the wildebeest are not going to be coming into the water. I think it's probably also just having a bit of a drink. So, like I say, we'll head towards those lions. It would seem that there are 6 of them now where we left them. Cindy in Florida, I'm going to ask you to look at the conditions here in order to answer your question nicely. You say, why do the hippos here all get along and the ones at Djuma do not? Well, Cindy, just look at this river. What you can see is a lot of water, basically, and on the banks of the river you can see a massive amount of food for them to eat. What that means is that although there is unquestionably quite a lot of conflict between the hippo here every so often, it just means there's enough water and enough food to go around. The reason they have such conflict at Djuma is because they don't have anything like the same amount of water, they don't have anything like the same amount of forage to eat, and so that's why at Djuma especially they tend to fight. But if you go down south in the Sabi sand towards the Sand River, especially in a good rain year, which we're hoping this will be, you'll find the hippo live very much as these ones do here. There is conflict, but there's much less of it than there is in those sort of dams and waterholes of the northern Sabi sand. Now listen to that. You might just be able to hear it. I think John has probably killed the ambient mic because of the wind, but the thunder is now rolling in. And you know how long I've waited to say the following line? Thunder rolling in across the plains. Well, a very long time indeed, and now it is doing just that. It's rolling in from the northern plains of Kenya. Isn't that wonderful? Up north, way beyond the cloud there, the Mau Forest Complex is where this river rises, this perennial river. This is the famous Mara River, everyone. This is the river that so many of you will have seen on documentary films, with the wildebeest coming across and the crocodiles leaping out and grabbing them, and that's what we're hoping to find here. And RJ, you were wondering where it comes from. Well, it comes from the Mau Forest Complex, which is just to the north of the Masai Mara, or the Mara ecosystem. And then it flows eventually into Africa's largest lake, and that is Lake Victoria, which is sort of in the middle of the continent, basically, and is part of the Great Rift Valley. Right, I think we're probably going to think about heading off to those lions fairly soon. The wildebeest have lost all enthusiasm for an afternoon swim as the temperature has plummeted in the face of this oncoming storm. So what we'll probably do is head off towards the lions. We've no doubt that, because everywhere you look here there's something interesting to look at, and no doubt we'll see some things on the way there, but I don't think that we should tarry too long in this vicinity, because these wildebeest seem to be really have lost all enthusiasm for leaping across the river. That said, the rain might make them act differently. This rain might bring many, many more wildebeest up from the south, from the Serengeti, up into the Mara. It might make them cross to this side of the river tomorrow. Who knows? Nobody really knows. Hello, Angela. Very nice question from you. What makes the Mara, you say, such a hotbed for wildebeest migration and perhaps even numbers of wildebeest? A few things, Angela, have conspired to create this astonishing ecosystem. Firstly, let's compare it with the Kruger, because the Kruger, you know, is vastly different. No better or worse, but vastly different. One of the main differences is let's start at the bottom. The soil is different. The Kruger National Park soil, that soil of the Lowveld, is some of the most ancient on planet Earth. That means that there has been very little volcanic activity in that area for millions and millions of years, hundreds of millions of years. And what that means is that most of the nutrients have leached out of the soil. That is not the case here. Although these soils too are ancient, they're not quite as ancient as that, and there has been some more recent volcanic activity in this area, which means that there is more nutrients in the soil. There are different soil types, which in turn support a greater sort of grass sward, or a thicker, more nutritious grass sward, and grass that recovers much more quickly than it does, say, down in South Africa. And that means that it can support a greater number of animals on it than can the landscapes of the Kruger Park. Secondly, what is interesting, of course, is that this ecosystem, although not managed without conflict, and although there is definitely a conflict between different management types, it's largely wilderness, which means there's very little human intervention. I think the only human intervention that is made here is that there's a little bit of burning of the landscape sometime, which is, it's an attempt to emulate a natural system. And then secondly, there are one or two sort of artificial water points, but I've seen one since I've been here, or two since I've been here. And the difference in the Kruger, of course, is that that is not the case. For many, many years, until very recently, and they're now starting to close those water points, there was a massive amount of artificial water in the Kruger. That broke a wildebeest migration. Nothing like the size of this one, but there certainly used to be a very large wildebeest migration in the Kruger National Park. And I think with the closing of the waterholes, I think you'll find the diversity of species, so you'll see more eland, more sable and roan and Sabi in the Kruger, in the same way that you see topi, which are essentially Sabi up here, and you see these gazelles, and you see eland, and you see a great variety of different animals up here that you might not see in the Kruger. But I think that will change. So that, in a long, winded way, is why I think this landscape is so very different and supports such a very different animal suite than the Kruger National Park one does. Lovely question there, thank you very much. Hippos, very happy with the rain. They don't worry about it in the slightest. They're more than happy to sit there and enjoy the wind. You can feel the wind. Still not a drop of rain yet, but I've got to tell you, the smell in the air is delightful. It does smell like rain. And James Duncan, you were asking precisely that. You say, what does the air smell like with the rain coming? Well, it smells like petrichor, I think, smells everywhere, you know. It just smells like that rain that you know, even though if you've never visited this area, if you were to smell the smell, you would know that there was rain coming. And you say, how does it compare with the glorious smells of Juma? Well, it's actually very similar. The rain smell, when there isn't rain, it is a little bit different, but it's all subtly different, you know. There are one or two aromatic plants that grow around our camp, which is very high up, you know. We're sitting almost 2,000 meters above sea level, which is 1,200, no it's not, 2,000 meters, 2 kilometers, which is roughly a mile and a bit above sea level, and just over 6,000 feet above sea level. And so the smell is slightly different. There's a slightly different suite of plants, a couple of aromatic plants that smell sort of a bit like that plant that we get there at Juma called Lippia javanica. That's one of Brent's favourite plants, the Bushman's tea. And otherwise it's just quite dusty and clean and beautiful. Hello Cameron, you're 6 years old and you're wondering how it is that these crocodiles don't float away in this strong flowing river. Well, Cameron, if you were tossed into this river, let's pretend there were no crocodiles and no hippo here, and I said to you swim upstream, well, you'd just start swimming, wouldn't you? Now, the crocodiles are just doing exactly the same thing. Sometimes they're holding onto the rocks on the bottom, because it's not very deep in some places, but a lot of the time they're swimming, they're paddling. Just like if you've ever seen a dog swim, that's how a crocodile swims. It's got those 4 legs going up and down, and that's how it moves up against the very strong current. And because it's also got a long tail, it swishes that from side to side like a fish does, and that helps it to move very easily in the water. Alrighty, we're going to send you back to South Africa while we head back towards the lions and see what we can find on the way there. Go and find out what Taylor has got to show you there in the Kruger National Park.
Oh, everybody, unfortunately, we're just seeing the back end of a warthog disappearing now. and she was so beautifully posing for just a few moments. She was heavily pregnant though. I don't know if you can still see her there. It's very, very obstructed now, and I don't blame her for being so skittish and so nervous. Her belly was extremely round, so I think she was going to have her little piglets soon, so that's quite exciting. And the gestation period's about between 5.5 and 6 months, and I reckon with her being right towards the end of that gestation period now, I don't think she could quite run as fast as what she normally could. But we've got some zebra as well to our left. Let's see if we can get a decent shot of one of the zebras. Everyone's hiding behind the trees today. Maybe you can see that one's head. You can actually see them standing out in the bush quite nicely now. Here's one. And there's another one on the left. And there's a few of them all scattered through here. Maybe this warthog as well comes back, which will be quite exciting. But they're all hiding away. And there's lots of new green grass coming through, and I think that's why they've come into these areas. Eggsy, maybe let's show them a few of these sprigs of green grass that's coming through. And that's what the zebra, everybody, is going to be eating. Can you see that? There is life, everyone, finally. It's only taken 3 days for this grass to start poking through the ground, which is very exciting. So imagine what it's going to be like after a week. Can see them there. They're not doing any eating at the moment. They're sort of just standing and resting. However, zebra do tend to lay down when they sleep. So not lay down with their heads on the ground. So you may see foals doing that. But the adults sort of just tuck their legs underneath them and then sit down on the ground like that. But they're taking a siesta, just standing very quietly, just having a little break from life. Well, not this one. This one is still listening, got its head looking behind. Oh, a little bit jumpy. And it's good to be a little bit on the cautious side when you're out in the bush, especially if you're a big mammal like a zebra. You might have a lion stalking you in the distance. They're not actually too far from Buffelshoek Pan, so I'm wondering if that's maybe their next route is to possibly head around down that way. Speaking of the lions, welcome Diana, who is a new viewer, and she has just asked, where are the lions? Now, I'm not 100% certain where the lions are, but I did hear that they killed a buffalo in Buffelshoek, just north of the cut line, in fact. And I'm not sure if there's any water that side, just because there are quite a few wallows around that could have been filled up with water, so that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to come back a little bit further south to drink from Buffelshoek Dam, but maybe they will. I could see a few vultures in the far distance, so that's possibly where they are, but I'll hear on the radio from the rangers who traverse in the northern sections and find out exactly where they are, and I'll try and listen up for their movements as well for this afternoon. Maybe they do decide to cross back south. So Diana, that's where they are, just north out of our traverse, but they don't stay away for too long, this lovely Nkahuma Pride. And I believe 2 of the Birmingham boys are with them too. They have proven to be super successful hunters. Let's carry on with our little bumble and see what else we can find. The zebra and the warthog are hiding away from us this afternoon. They all were not feeling too comfortable and moved off into the very, very thick vegetation. Always checking over my shoulder if you do see me looking out the side of my vehicle. Just looking for... Oh, hang on. There's a darting impala that just ran across the screen and off it goes. While I carry on looking for tracks of either leopards or lions or even elephants and buffalo. Let's see if Jamie has managed to find the leopard that she was looking for.
No sign of our leopard, unfortunately, and not even a track. So I'm starting to wonder whether or not it was a false alarm. However, Herbert did call us in to say that he's just found a herd of elephants moving towards Ledwood Road, and that's where we're on our way to now. But I couldn't drive past Twin Dams without stopping to check on a very, very exciting find of ours that we got on the Sunrise Safari not too long ago. And you'll be happy to know that our crested barbet, we saw him on the sunrise safari scraping the hole to his nest and then flying up and spitting it out. He was scraping the wood away from a dried up dead tree, and he was still there when we went past, when Dave and myself went past there, sitting on his dead tree, trilling away merrily to let everybody know that he is the boss of that area and that is his hole and his nesting site. So lovely news. We can anticipate many more visits to that particular crested barbet. A crested barbet is a bird, by the way, for those of you who are new to the whole safari experience in South Africa. A very pretty, very striking bird, and I will show you a picture if I have a moment, or indeed I'll show you the actual bird if I see it. But for now, we're going to just search very carefully for these elephants that must be not too far from here. They're kind of in the block. They're between Twin Dams and where we are now. We must have just missed them having a drink. And I'm hoping that they might pop out somewhere here. It's a nice afternoon for elephants. It's warm. There's a good chance of seeing them drink. Dave and myself are planning a trip along to the east to Cheetah Plains in a moment. We'll see how we go. Just trundle along a little bit further. Where are these elephants? Oh dear, they haven't quite made it here just yet. And unfortunately there was no view of them from Twin Dams. So we might just have to wait patiently for them to re-emerge. Let's see what else we can find. It's not as green here as it was where we were on the western side of Djuma. We're now right on the eastern side. They're bouncing around a little bit this afternoon. As you know, our live safaris never go accordingly to plan. Yeah, these ellies. No, they haven't popped out here, unfortunately. Let's try going back and see whether or not we can see them from the shade of the jackalberries on Twin Dams Road. Since I think most of the antelope are going to have moved to the slightly grassier areas where there's a little bit more for them to eat. And then if they're not there, then we'll go back to the barbet's nest and just hope that he has decided to return, because he flew away before I had a chance to show him to you. Well, the one thing it is today is very, very bright. The clouds have obviously all cleared up, and the rain washed away any dust and other air pollution that might have been in the air. And as a result, there's absolutely nothing to absorb the summer sun. There's not enough vegetation covered to absorb it, so there's lots of reflection off the ground as well. But the good news is that it's now good-ish tracking weather. Not quite there yet. It's still, the ground's still a little bit hard, but it is starting to soften, which means that we can focus more clearly on tracking down the big cats and things like leopards and lions and cheetah. That's one of the other reasons why I'm planning a trip to Cheetah Plains, in the hope that we might get lucky once again. A very, very warm welcome to Lisa, who is amongst our new viewers. It is lovely to have you, Lisa. Fantastic to hear from you, and please do feel free to send through all of your questions. Now, Lisa would like to know where we are in South Africa. So if you have a look in the top northeastern corner of South Africa, you will see a place called the Kruger National Park. You may even be familiar with it. And we are in the Sabi Sand, which borders the Kruger National Park on the western side of the Kruger. But it's open. It's a private reserve that is completely open. There are no fences between us and the Kruger National Park. And if you stay tuned, Lisa, we'll be able to take you all the way to the edge of the Sabi Sand and look out over the world-famous Kruger National Park. So that is where we are, and more specifically, we're in the northern Sabi Sand. We drive around on 3 different private game reserves, Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains. James, of course, is not in South Africa. He is in the Mara Triangle, which is very, very exciting and quite far away from where we are now. And with, as a result, all kinds of different and splendid things for you to see. And the wonderful thing, Lisa, for you joining us for the first time, is how much water we have. We're right next to a place called Twin Dams. This is called Lucas Open, I think. Lucas Open area. Or possibly Baboon Pan. It's outside of my Traverse area, so I don't have a map. But you can see there's lots and lots and lots of water for thirsty animals to drink. And for us, the wonderful thing about that is that there's going to be things like dragonflies, frogs, and all kinds of insects too. And I think we should go and explore some of the possibilities while I wait for my elephants to pop out on the road. Let's go and see what's happening at just one of these mud wallows. And I'm going to reverse down the dam wall, just so that we don't have the sun glinting off the water. It might make our lives a little bit easier. And let's just do a puddle check while we're here, and then I'll do a crested barbet check at the same time. Luckily, our cameramen really trust us at this point. Otherwise, Dave might be a little bit nervous as we reverse backwards along a thin wall. Okay. Let's see what's happening down here on my left. Can we see any dragonflies, butterflies? Or have I picked the one puddle without anything? Surely not. There is one butterfly fluttering about the edge. I don't even think Dave can see it from the angle. Oh, he can. Never mind. Of course he can. He's just that good. It looks like it might be an African vagrant. What? Pardon? Flown off. Oh, terrapin. I see a terrapin. Looks like a... Oh, it just went under the water. It now looks like a mud puddle. It's down here. If you see the little logs sticking up. He's swimming over there. You got him. Well done. Well done, Dave. Can't see in the reflection. Oh, and he's gone. He's gone underwater. There he goes, popping back up. It's a tiny little terrapin. Doesn't it look like just a moving pile of mud or a log? Joshua, you wanted to know if there are any fish in the puddles or if they are just puddles. Some of the dam will have catfish in them, and some of them might have something called a killifish, which is also capable of living through droughts. But to be honest, Justin, it's going to take some considerable period of time before the dams reach the same level of diversity that they had before they all dried up during our drought. So the dams were completely bone dry at one point, which meant that some of the fishes, in fact a lot of the fishes, actually died off. And I'm going to reverse backwards while I talk about this, just so we can get a chance to see if our crested barbet has come back. So a lot of the fishes died off. It's only fish really that are capable of surviving these drought conditions, things like a catfish or a barbel, as they are known in South Africa. They've got a very, very clever method of surviving the drought. They dig beneath the surface of the soil and form mucus-covered membranes, which then protect them from drying out, from dehydration. Oh dear, our crested barbet hasn't come back. And there is our hole in the tree that the crested barbet was digging out. Now that's his home. That's his nest site. I think it's up a little bit, Dave. Is it there? There it is. That's where he was digging. That is a bird's nest, or at least a bird's nest under construction. Hollowed out by the work, very hard work, of the crested barbet that lives there. Right, well, since he isn't home, unfortunately, let's go back and have a look at the terrapin, because we've got a question about what is a terrapin, which is fair enough. Let's go and have another look, see if we can't get a better view. Michael, who is another new viewer, you want to know what a terrapin is. A terrapin is like a cross between a tortoise and a turtle. Now, there's a tendency in the English language these days to, there he is, I can actually see him. He's gone underwater for now. He's going to pop up soon, hopefully. Come on, little terrapin. I know you're there. There's a tendency to label everything that has a shell, that is a reptile, a turtle. And that's not actually true. A turtle is actually, properly, is an animal that lives only in the water and comes out onto the shore purely to lay its eggs. And it's got flippers. It only has flippers. Whereas a tortoise lives on the land and has got legs and feet, and only a couple of species can actually swim, and only one of them in South Africa, which is the leopard tortoise. A terrapin is a cross between them. It's got webbed feet, and we've got a very, very nice picture that I'm going to show you in a moment. Trying to find the actual species that we get here, which is the marsh-hinged, one of them is the marsh-hinged terrapin. It's the yellow western-hinged. Where is it now? Sorry, bear with me one moment, Michael. I'm going to show you a picture of a terrapin. Okay, well, we'll just pick one at random. We do apologize for the trouble that we've been having with our audio. It's a bit of a tricky situation. We are aware of it, and we thank you very much for your patience. So a terrapin has webbed but clawed feet. So it can live in both water and on land, although it is an aquatic species. It prefers to be in water. There you go. So that's what a terrapin looks like. A very peculiar looking creature. It is part of the Chelonian family. Google Plus, you want to know how long terrapins live for? Couple of years? Probably a bit probably much longer. Some tortoise species live up to 70 years. Obviously, the Galapagos tortoises live up to 125. Terrapins, I'm going to guess and say that they have a slightly shorter lifespan, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to say if a tortoise out here can live up to 70 or so years, and I have no idea specifically what age or how old a terrapin will live to, how old a terrapin will get. And of course now our terrapin is being very difficult, and I can't tell if it's a bobbing piece of stick or a terrapin. Dave and I had a fantastic sighting the other day where we watched one walk down the road. For some reason it was endlessly entertaining, and one of the viewers described it as an old army helmet walking down the road. Pardon?
That was Louise, I think.
Was it Louise? Oh, was it? Well, she's a genius. She was absolutely spot on. Okay. Well, my terrapin has disappeared. I'm sorry, Michael, but you kind of get the idea. It's a mixture between a turtle and a tortoise. Mostly lives in water, sometimes can walk on land, eats meat, eats little crustaceans, little tadpoles, anything like that. Sharp, snapping beak. Kind of like a snapping turtle. Similar, the beak is similar. Do you think our Ellies have moved onto the road yet, or are they still playing a game hidden in the bush? Let's go see from the vantage point of the jackalberries on Twin Dams. Okay, well, we play the patience game and wait for the Ellies to pop back out onto a road so we can look at them. Let's head across to Taylor and find out how her navigating is going, since it's going so much easier.
I'm not lost yet, Jamie, and good luck with the patient game. That's one thing we as guides are very good at, and something you have to learn very early on in your career is how to be patient. Now, I haven't found anything just yet, still bumbling along. We're slowly making our way towards quarantine open area, and I've just changed my route slightly just to check down in some of these drainage lines sort of towards the Mulwati, just because it's nice and cool and it has been quite a hot day today. Oh, we've got some more zebra just ahead. Let's see if these zebra are going to want to be seen. I'm going to go onto electric mode and try and roll into the sighting. Let me see. Yes, we've got a clearer view of the zebra, of a group of zebra, everyone. Not too many of them. I just counted 3, and now we have the rear end of 1 and the mane of another. And hopefully they will come out for us. And it's quite interesting looking at all these mares now. So that is, a mare is a female zebra, very much like a horse, to see their big round bellies starting to form. So every single year a zebra will have a foal, although I suppose it also depends on if she is infertile or not. And we've been seeing lots of heavily pregnant zebra, which is quite exciting. So hopefully in the next 2-3 months we're going to see a few foals are popping out. But everybody's moving into the thick vegetation today. You can see them all standing behind, their heads down on the ground, eating all the grass. Now, Katil, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for watching the show. Unfortunately, Katil, who has asked us, can we touch any of the animals? The answer to that, I'm afraid, is no. This is wild. We're in the middle of a complete wilderness area, so the only interaction that we're doing with these animals is from the vehicle, so they're completely wild. To be honest, I don't know if I'd want to touch a lion, and out here I don't think they'd want to be touched quite either, so we just sit with our arms and our feet in the vehicles and we just enjoy them interacting in their most natural ways. How exciting is that we're able to do that and not affect the animals at all. Now the zebra are really disappearing, as you can see. Off they go into a thicket. I don't know why the animals don't want to hang around and be seen today. Possibly they heard about all the luck we had last night with all the different insects and things that were crawling around. But we'll watch them disappear into this thicket and then we will move on. Maybe we find something else. Oh wait, we're going to have a zebra crossing the road in a moment. And you see that one slowly coming out of the bushes. You can't see it now, but it's on its way, everybody. It's on its way. I'm going to very quickly reposition, just to see if we can maybe get a better view of this zebra. Now, if you're wondering how on earth did I tell the difference between the male and female zebra, I know Warrior Cat is wondering how I can do that. It's very much the same way that you tell the difference between a male and female horse, with great difficulty. So let me try and get the zebra over here. So what you've got to look for is the general appearance of a stallion is quite stocky, a big neck, big shoulders, very much like a stallion of a horse. And the other thing that you can look for, like to me this looks like a stallion, but that's because I can see his man bits over there. And if you look, you can see how stocky he is. But he doesn't quite have a big round belly like a female would that would have a foal in it. Now at this time of the year it does make it a little bit easier because all the mares have got those round bellies. And you can see the the foals almost sticking out the sides. And if you've got a whole lot of zebra bums, that makes it quite difficult. But a female zebra has got a big, thick black stripe underneath her tail. So if she swishes it out of the way, then you're possibly able to see that too. I'm going to go forward again. We're going to do lots of repositioning, but at least we are getting better and better as the day goes on, and the animals are slowly starting to pop out for us. Hello, mister. Can you please stand nicely for you, because I was just telling all the viewers how beautiful you are. No, you're going to run across the road. That's fine. See, very much doing a trot like a horse, so they're exactly the same gaits as you just saw there. So they walk, they then trot, and they can also go into quite a quick gallop. Just a little bit nervous of us today. It's not every day that the animals are calm and quiet and peaceful. Sometimes they also like to be left alone. But I think we could get one more view of this stallion. Let's see if we can find a gap. Ooh, maybe go back just a little bit. You possibly have a little gap over there. There we go. There's that nice rump. Nature is just incredible how it has designed all these different patterns as well. Looking at this stallion over here, he's big. I don't think he's quite an adult though. I think he's just coming into the prime of his life. And Google Plus would like to know how you do tell the difference between all the different stages of a zebra. Now the youngsters, for the first year of their life, are quite fluffy. They've got quite a hairy coat. I'm just going to go back again. So they're quite easy to tell, sort of that they're about a year old, and as they get a bit older they lose that coat. They also lose that brown colouring, so I'm practicing my reversing, everybody, that the youngsters are tend to born with, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit later if we do find a decent herd of zebra where there are some foals. Really, wait, there we go. Is that good, Eggsy? A zebra doesn't really get much bigger than a pony, so about 14.3 max, maybe even pushing it a little bit bigger, maybe even up to 15 one hands, somewhere along there, but not much bigger than that. I suppose you could call it a honey then, a horse-crossed pony. And as they get older they start to fill out quite a bit, and you just sort of look at muscle tone and compare them to the rest of the zebra in the herd. But it is quite difficult to try and gauge. But remember, young animals in the equus family, so horses and zebra, and when they get to about 3 or 4 years old, they tend to develop quite a bit of muscle, and when they reach about 5, they're sort of in the prime of their life at 5 years old. And it's very much the same with zebra. So I think this stallion has got a little bit of growing to do. He's nice and fat and rump, but I think his neck could get a little bit thicker than that. And he's up on a bit of a rise there. Can you see that? He's actually standing on a termite mound, eating all that lovely grass. We're definitely going to see an improve in the animals' conditions over the next few days, especially with the buffalo and the warthog and the hippo. As all that nice green grass comes through, they're going to get stuck in and keep their heads flat on the ground and try and pick up as much of that new vegetation that's coming through, because we don't know when we're going to get the next rains, everyone. We did have a downpour, and this is the same thing that happened last year. And the next time we had rain was only in February, so we're quite a few months through. So I think the animals pick up on these weather changes and will try and eat as much of the vegetation, all this new grass that's going to come through now. Lovely that this one is just standing here. So I was talking about a little bit of the brown on the foals. And if you zoom into this one's rump, especially around the tail, you can see how the hair almost looks a little bit dirty. Now that's quite typical with the plains zebra, to see that sort of rusty color coming through. And the youngsters have that color that we just saw there, sort of all over their bodies, and then they lose that as they lose that young fluffy coat. So, Fran, hello, and thank you for watching the show. Now, Fran wants to know, are all the zebras that we see in a herd from the same family, or are they from outside areas? Usually, in a herd of horses or a zebra, it's normally the females that will sort of stick together. However, it also isn't uncommon for a few females to leave and sort of spread their wings and possibly move off to another family group. But typically, it's the females that will stay together, and then the males will change up quite a bit. Now, in James's case, and James is in the Masai Mara, for those of you that have just started watching, he's going to be seeing hundreds of different family groups of wildebeest and zebras coming together in order to cross the rivers to try and find better grazing. Now that's quite common, and in something like that you could quite often get a few members of one herd moving and joining up in another herd. It's not impossible for something like that to happen. Off you go behind the termite mound. We're just about to lose this zebra, unfortunately. There he goes. The rest of them have moved right into the thicket where all the other animals seem to be going today. There must be a party we don't know about hidden away in the distance. But we're going to carry on, everybody. We're slowly making our way towards our quarantine open area. So it's been a bit quiet today already. We haven't been seeing too much, but we did have a slow start yesterday. And welcome to Hello Soul Music, who is also a new viewer. And they were wondering, is it possible to go an entire game drive and not see anything? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, I have to say yes. I've driven and I've done many full-day safaris where I've just seen things like impala, a few buffalo. Oh, we've got a squirrel. Sorry, I'm going to come back to that. What have you got in your mouth? Did you see that squirrel there? It's on that log. No, it's got something in its mouth. I don't know if it's a marula pip. Hello, Soul Music. I'm going to get back to your question now. Look at, I think it is a marula pip. I want to see if I can, there we go. I can't see it too well through all these trees, but there's not many seeds in the African bush that are that large, and I don't know if you saw, maybe Eggsy, can you go in again? As this squirrel is turning the seed, you should see two little holes. Let's see if we can see them. I thought I may have seen two little holes, and normally there are two little nuts in a marula fruit. Yeah, there we go, everybody. It is definitely a marula seed that this squirrel has found. Possibly the squirrel maybe buried it and has now dug it up or stored it in a tree and has found it. And what they do is, like I was saying, in those two little holes that you got a quick glimpse of, they're actually these little nuts, and apparently they're quite nice. I have never had the opportunity to try one, and that's what this little squirrel is going for. I've been seeing a lot of pouched mice as well in the evenings going through and digging up their stashes that have been hiding away, and possibly we'll be able to see something like that on one of these warm nights. It's quite interesting to watch. Let's see if we can get a better view. I don't know how this squirrel is going to react, but let's try. Good squirrel, stay there. We just want to appreciate how beautiful you are. I think it's going to stay still. No, it's going up the tree. Don't go too far. You can just sit over there. There we go. A slightly better view, everybody. Now you can actually see the entire squirrel's body. Look, there you go. Got something. And I wish I was closer, because I can actually hear the gnawing that the squirrel is doing on this marula seed. And I'll have to then show you a marula tree as well, so that you can see what I mean by these beautiful African trees that we have that produce this lovely fruit. But I'll tell you a little bit about that a little later. And Soul Music, hello Soul Music, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about your question. When you get back to me, I'll answer you. But I believe James has got some beautiful Ellies.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mara Triangle. There are some elephants walking across the plains, and they're just very calm and very collected, unlike me, because the excitement of this event is becoming slightly overwhelming. Off to the right hand side, the rain is still coming. It hasn't hit us yet. We've had one or two spits, but that's about it. We've seen some buffalo and some wildebeest and some zebra and some giraffe, and I hope to show you those giraffes soon. They are the Maasai giraffe, Giraffa tipple-kirchi, my new favourite Latin name for an animal, and also some crepuscular rays there stretching down over the Olulolo escarpment. You may notice that I pause every time I say Olulolo. That is because it is a difficult word to say, but I suggest you try it at home. Olulolo. Now, there's also a secretary bird there, Jean-André, can you see it? It's just beyond the elephants. It's rather stunning being here. I'm not sad to be here, everybody. In fact, I'm quite overjoyed. We also saw 2 male lions, the fatties we saw yesterday, where they were lying in amongst some even fatter grass, so we didn't think we'd trouble you to show them to you. We're on our way slowly back to the Kichwa Tembo Pride, which seems actually to now be 6 lionesses, so they may have joined up. On our way to the crossing, just prior to my nearly rolling the vehicle through idiocy, we did see a young male and another female. Who they are, we don't know, and this is the great joy of discovering the animals of a new area. We don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out as we go along, with your help, of course. We got some lovely information about the Marsh Male Coalition and about the Kichwa Pride yesterday from various viewers. So keep those comments coming in. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv. It'll be good to hear from you here. You can see the light is fading slightly as a result of quite possibly the largest grey cloud in all of Africa heading now over where we are staying. I'll just show you off, well I won't, I'll instruct Jean-André to show you where we are staying. That's where we're staying, up on top of the hill there. Isn't that magnificent? That is called Angamara. If you ever come to Africa, I highly recommend staying there. You shall not be disappointed. Just beautiful. That clicking noise, everybody, is me taking pictures. I do apologize for the clicking. I've been handed quite a substantially fancy piece of equipment for this trip. See how big it is? You have to have very big muscles to hold it up. This is why I have to rest it on the door most of the time. Anyway, that's why you hear so much clicking going on. There are the elephants, Jean-André. And I don't know if you've noticed, but since we got here, the green has, at least the grass has turned quite a lot greener. And that's just the same as it happens at Djuma. I'm sure Djuma is looking astoundingly different from it was when we left. Hello Marsha, what a lovely question from you. You say, what is the biggest challenge about filming here? Well, as always, the greatest challenge of filming any kind of wildlife is working with Jean-André. But once you've got over that, well, the greatest challenge is probably getting to decide what to do. We're only one unit on the ground. Thankfully, Peter is out helping us, but we don't know whether we should be at the crossing waiting for the wildebeest going. We don't know if those lions are going to hunt. And because the area is so big, you can't just kind of nip from one to the other very quickly. And so that's, I think, the greatest challenge. There are a number of technological challenges, of course, but we're all over that, and that's well beyond my pay grade and limited intellect to understand how they manage that. So for me, personally, it's deciding basically where to look. What is the most important thing to look at? And of course, we came out here to tell a migration story and to tell a lion story, and that's what we're trying to do. So we've watched the wildebeest, we've seen the crocodile eating the wildebeest that had died on its attempt to cross. We saw those wildebeest think about crossing, change their minds and went to go away again. And now we're going to go and try and tell the story of the lions, the Kichwa Pride. And in case you weren't watching yesterday, we got a really wonderful kind of introduction to the Pride. And one of the great things about it was that we were just learning about the fact that they've just been taken over by 3 males. All the cubs are dead, we think, and so it's a new story to tell. Now, I'm afraid I missed Hayden Turner's question, which is a great sadness to me, because of course it will be a brilliant question. So could I have it again, please, Rebecca? Hayden, you say, this must be one of my greatest dreams come true, and how am I feeling on a personal level? Hayden, it's difficult to describe, you know. It's been one of my great dreams to come here, and here I am, and it's overwhelming. There's just an astonishing array of diversity, and I mean, one doesn't want to be too twee about these sorts of things, but it's a sort of semi-spiritual, well, it's not semi at all, it's a massively spiritual experience being in an area like this, which is, you can see why it's become an icon of wildlife filmmaking. You can see why it's become an icon of anybody
Welcome back, everybody. We're almost at quarantine open area. We're slowly getting there. And Kalinda, don't think I've forgotten about your question. I'm looking and searching for some mongoose, so you can actually have a look and see their interactions between the different members of a mongoose group, and then possibly you'll be able to also decide for yourself what you think about their behavior and how they sort of act towards each other. And just to recap very quickly, because I got super excited, I saw a squirrel, everybody, a squirrel syndrome, and sorry, and Hello Soul Music wanted to know if we could go an entire game drive without seeing any animals. And just to recap on that, yes, you can. It is very uncommon if you're happy to count things like all the birds and the antelope. Then it's obviously quite easy to see a variety of different animals. But if you're talking about the really big cats, so things like leopards and lions and cheetah and hyenas and wild dogs and elephants and rhinos and buffalo and all those big amazing creatures, it is very easy to go for a few days without seeing any of those animals. So every time we do get to sight one of them, it's very important that we do take a bit of time and appreciate what nature has provided for us. I can just hear, actually I can hear an African grey hornbill calling. Let me see if I can get a shot of it. I know I've been showing you lots and lots of hornbills, especially the yellow-billed and the red-billed hornbill. But we haven't seen an African grey yet. Let's see if it's still up here. Come on, where are you? You were singing to us now. Have you gone away? I think you've flown away. Okay, well, we'll find one. That's another one we need to add to the list, everybody. We haven't seen an African grey hornbill just yet. But if you can bear with us just for a few minutes, slowly making my way towards quarantine open area. And I don't like to rush things, because I find if you drive too fast, you often miss all the small little creatures. And if you're slowly starting to get to know me over the last 2 weeks, you'll know that I quite enjoy looking for the small things instead of the big, hairy and scary animals. But so far, not much around just yet. Oh, that's a bit loud. Remember, we are live, so we do go through little quiet patches every now and then. The animals aren't just sitting and waiting for us around every corner. As nice as what that would be, it takes the fun out of it, I suppose. So we're almost there. We're actually just a few minutes away. We're going through Philemon's Dip at the moment. And once we go through this drainage line, we're going to pop out on quarantine area. And then we just need to get to our exact spot to take pictures of the open area. And hopefully you'll be able to see from just the last 3 days how much the grass has already changed and how it's starting to poke through the ground. But first, we've got some impala up ahead. Have a look at this. So we're downwind of the impala at the moment. And have you seen how none of them have really popped their heads to look at us? There we go. One is darting away now. A few more darting away. And a zebra. Oh, we're having a zebra day today. No, impala, don't go. Please don't mind us. We're just coming to have a look at you. Okay, you can see lots of impala and a zebra bum. Oh, let's have a look at this one over here. That's quite nice. She's actually out in the open. Oh, as I said, that the zebra walks away. And these are two animals that you quite typically will see together, and that is the zebra and the impala. And the reason for this is that safety in numbers. So it might not always just be a zebra and impala. It could be wildebeest and impala, giraffe and impala, or all of the above together. And it's important to try and group up with some other species of animals. Everybody's got their own sense. So impala and zebra actually have got phenomenal eyesight. And if I were an animal archer, I'd actually want to have an impala or either a zebra on my side. They seem to spot lots of things before the other predators, but they've both got very good hearing as well. They're all spread out around us. You've got some bounding through the thicket there. But they're not too fond of us today. Every time we seem to find some, they just move right away from us. Oh my goodness, sorry, I've got butterfly syndrome. I saw this bright red bug flying around, and I'm wondering if it was going to come and land on me. Let's move away from here. These animals do not want to be viewed. Everybody's hiding away. The quarantine is just up ahead. Let's get our photo quickly, and then we can carry on looking for something else. Ooh, the wind has picked up quite a bit actually. So I think it's going to be very windy on quarantine open area. Oh, we've got a whole lot of starlings. And we've got some hoopoes. Gee, no, don't fly away. Please don't fly away. We just want to view you. There's one. No. No. You see, everybody, we really are live. We really are live. Nothing is hanging around for us to look at them today. Oh, goodness. It's like they're saying, let's have a laugh at Taylor today. And it's fine. I'll take it. We had a great afternoon yesterday. You can't have too much luck all the time, otherwise it's not fair. Okay, but we're almost here. I'll put foot a little bit now just so we get to this open area. But it's a lovely blue clear sky, which is fantastic. And I hope this wind doesn't cool things down too much, just because I like it quite nice and hot, so that we can find lots of creepy crawlies this evening. Oh, almost here. Finally. Whoop. Now we've just got to get to the exact spot. Eggsy, am I going the right way? You just have to check. Rebecca thinks it's very funny. So Rebecca is in final control, everybody, and she's saying if I've asked me if I've lost my way around quarantine. I'm just trying to find the right road. Everyone's obviously having a good chuckle at me today, including the animals and everybody in final control. Okay, really we're almost here this time, I promise. In about 50 meters we'll be in the exact spot to take our picture of the grass. Oh my goodness, it's so green. It's like it's just changed overnight. Almost there. Had to choose a very obvious spot, everybody, otherwise I will get lost. Right, now I just need to align my wheels nicely. Oh my goodness, it's changed so much. This is so cool. Okay, right, nose in front of that rock. There we go, everybody. Okay, it's quite difficult now because the sun is not that great, but everybody take a screenshot of this. You can, or I can see the change in the green grass from here. So now we're going to zoom in on the termite mound. I hope you all managed to take your screen capture there. There we go. Look at all that green grass. Can you all see it? Take another screen capture. Sandra, welcome and thank you for watching the show. So Sandra wants to know what has happened that we've had all this lovely green grass come through. Well, Sandra, we had rain. Can you believe it? We were experiencing a drought, a horrible drought. And finally, a few days ago, we got about 36 mils of rain, which was quite spectacular. Can you believe it? So happy about that, and so will the animals. Unfortunately, a lot of the animals were succumbing to the conditions, to the harsh conditions that the drought had brought. So just to see these little sprigs of green grass is a huge sign of hope for all of us. Now, I don't know if you all managed to get a screen capture there, and I hope you did, and we're probably going to do this for a few more days just until we get a nice covering on quarantine, and hopefully we'll be able to see a great difference. And I'm so excited already. I didn't think that the grass could grow that quickly, but while I carry on and try and find something else and wonderful to show all of you, Jamie's finally arrived at Cheetah Plains.
We have indeed arrived on Cheetah Plains, and I've heard a report that there is a male lion somewhere around here, and we'll be heading to him in a little bit. I can't jump ahead of the queue. There's lots of vehicles that would like to have a chance to see him. However, since we have this nice opportunity, I'd like to just reintroduce this whole concept. My name is Jamie. This afternoon we have Dave on camera with me, and we are coming to you live from Juma Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserve in the Sabi Sand in the top northeast corner of South Africa in a place called the Greater Kruger National Park area. James is live in Kenya in the Mara Triangle, so all kinds, basically an all-African safari that you're experiencing over the next several hours. I'm not entirely sure what the time is, but it's over the next quite a few hours until well after dark. Exciting times. Right. Now, the nearly impossible tree quiz is something that Brent always does, and of course he's on leave at the moment, so some of our regular viewers might be feeling a little bit like they're missing out. Well, I'm going to take it one step further and do a nearly impossible spring tree time quiz. I could definitely have done better than that name. That just came to me, and it wasn't very good. Anyway, so the nearly impossible tree time quiz consists of not a tree, but a sample of the tree. And we're going to see if you can get it from just looking at the leaves. And I have 4 different samples, which will absolutely, I know, make Final Control's day. They're going to be thrilled to hear about this. So what I'm going to do, because my audio does keep dipping and diving, I'm actually going to jump out, and I'm going to draw on the road, and I'm going to place each branch down on the road, and we're going to keep playing this. You're lucky. Today's an easy day, because half the trees don't have leaves on them. It was actually quite a struggle to find some. Ooh. Can I do 5 options? No, you can't look there. Don't look, Dave. Don't show them what I want to look at. Right. I'm going to jump off quickly. And we're going to do the nearly impossible tree quiz with 5 options, not 4. Haha. Now, for our new viewers, please don't panic. You might not know the answer to these yet. You will. If you continue to watch our live safaris, we've got all kinds of exciting things that we do. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes the animals like to stay hidden, especially after rain, where they've got lots of puddles so they don't need to go to the dams. And you will learn as you go along. Is this far enough away, Dave? Perfect. And, oh goodness. 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to label them. I'm going to find a stick. Okay, now I'm going to do this upside down, so excuse me if it all goes wrong. Oh no, this ground's a lot sandier than I thought. A, B, C. How is that invisible? Is it working? Wonderful. D. For D, I will accept the family name. Doesn't have to be species specific. For the rest of them, I want the species, please. What trees are we looking at? You keep looking at those, nice and up close. I'm going to go and get E quickly. Oh, dodge the thorns. Right. Oh. Ouch. That hurt. E's a difficult one. Ow! E's a really horrible one. I'll be very impressed with you if you get E. E. A, B, C, D, and E. What do you think, Dave? Can you get a good enough, close enough look of them?
Yep.
Perfect. Have one more look, because Jamie needs to remember the order that you put them in. I need to take a photo of this, so I'm going to forget, and then I'm going to get everything all muddled up and confused. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Jamie's head's in the way. Okay, no, surely I can remember 5 things in order. Surely. Okay. That's E, yes. That is E. Good luck with E. I will be super impressed with you if you do get it. Is this important for you to know? Yes, kind of. Dave's laughing in the back. Do you know the answers, Dave? Do you know all of them, Dave? No. Maybe one or two. Is it important for you to know? It's a good way of learning trees, because once you learn to recognize the leaf and the leaf structure, then if you see that tree, then you'll be able to identify it relatively quickly. Also, a lot of the time the guides say, random example, I'm dropping a silver cluster leaf branch in the road. And then you know when you see a silver cluster leaf branch in the road, that's where you have to turn off to go and find the animal. All right. While you ponder away and my samples blow off in the wind, and some guides gets very confused about why I'm learning my alphabet, let's head back to Taylor and some feathered creatures.
Guinea fowl, guinea fowl, guinea fowl. That's what Rebecca shouted in my ear, everybody. So yes, Rebecca, you're correct. These are helmeted guinea fowl, and these are hysterical creatures to watch. We actually had them racing across the open plain. I'm not sure why they ran away, but now they seem to have settled down quite nicely. And I love their beautiful white spots that they have against the black feathers, and then of course that bright blue head that stands out so well. I just want you to listen to them very quickly. Can you hear them all chatting to each other? I'm hoping they're going to do a full call for us, because it's quite a beautiful call. But for those of us who live in South Africa, they can be a bit of a nuisance. But I love them. I think they're hysterical to watch. Now, I have to tell you a very funny story about the guinea fowl while you watch them move into the distance. Actually, before I do that, let me go a little bit further forward, because they're getting quite far away from us. And then I will tell you about the guinea fowl. But for those of you who have just started watching the show, welcome everybody, and my name is Taylor, and then we have Eggsy on camera this afternoon, and we are chasing down some guinea fowl at the moment that seem to just keep getting ahead of us, and they don't want to pose nicely with the sun behind them, which is a bit frustrating. So hopefully we'll be able to find a little spot. Just looking for a little gap over here, and then I'm going to tell you a hysterical photo. We need to go back a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you a hysterical story about the guinea fowl. Okay, let's see if we can see the guinea fowl. They're going to pop out again. Now, in South Africa, the locals love to eat guinea fowl. You can see them coming through over there, and there's a special way you need to cook the guinea fowl. So here in South Africa, we use these big cast iron pots, and we call them potjie pots. Now typically you will use them on a open fire, so you'll put this pot straight down on the coals. So basically you have your guinea fowl, you take all the feathers off as you would with a chicken, and you pop the guinea fowl in the pot. The key ingredient to all of this, to make it all work, is that you actually have to put a brick, so a normal building brick, you pop that in there, just a small one, it doesn't need to be too big. And well, I suppose it needs to be about a medium-sized brick. And then you add some red wine, you add potatoes, you add corn, you add beans, mushrooms, you add everything that you would normally add to a beef stew, because it's a lovely red meat, this. So you can add those same ingredients. You add a bit of wine, maybe a bit of something to thicken up the stew nicely. And you let it cook for a long time. And now that's the trick, everybody. Sorry, I've got, there we go. I had the sun burning straight into my eyes, and I need my eyes to see. So I'll just move my head slightly over there. So you keep adding a little bit of wine as you go along, and you keep stirring it. And probably about 4 to 6 hours, you leave this cast iron pot on the coals. Now, and you obviously got to have little bits of tasting. Add salt and pepper, whatever you like, garlic, rosemary, you name it. You go crazy. And once you think it's it's done after about 6 hours max. You take it off the pot. Remember, don't burn your hands, so you use oven mitts or something like that. You take it to the side, let it simmer just for a little bit in its own juices and the steam. And once it's not too hot to touch the pot now, you get a big ladle or something, or a fork. You put it in the guinea fowl, you throw it away, and you eat the brick. It's very tough, everybody, so it's not something that you want to just roast quickly in the oven. You've got to cook a guinea fowl very well and very slowly as well in order to be able to endure it. So I'm only teasing, it was just a little joke. You can actually make a stew with a guinea fowl, or you can make a pie, and I believe it's actually quite a tasty meat to eat. I've never tried it. Maybe one day I'll be brave enough to try it. But that's why I said you actually have to be careful about what size the brick is, because you need to eat the brick. Obviously it's a lot more tender. Right after this very silly guinea fowl story, we're going to go back and see what else we can find. And guinea fowls have now left us, I'm afraid. They're going somewhere else. You might even see them on the dam cam. If you look in the next 10 minutes, they could pop out over there. Now, we saw those guinea fowl scurrying along the ground, and that's typically what they'll do. Very much like chickens, so they'll just peck through the leaf litter and in the elephant dung, looking for any seeds or any little things to eat, little insects they'll feed on sometimes as well. And a Chitwa from India would like to know how well a guinea fowl can fly. Now, Chitwa, they can actually fly very much like a chicken. So they don't fly too much. They normally fly to the tops of trees where they'll roost there for the evenings. Otherwise, they spend most of their day down on the ground. Also, if, say, something like a serval or a caracal, one of the smaller cats in the area, comes racing on through and tries to grab that, they're obviously going to flap those wings very quickly and try and fly out of that area. But you don't see them flying too much. They can also run at quite a speed as well. Very impressive. I think they can run a lot quicker than what I could. I don't know if I could chase down a guinea fowl on foot. Oh, fantastic, everybody. I've got a little whisper in my ear that Jamie has managed to find a lion.
Well, I managed to find a lion. I would have been a bit ashamed of myself if I had missed the lion, because he is right next to the road here on Cheetah Plains, right out in the open. So if between Dave and myself we had missed him, it would perhaps be time to go home and get our eyes examined. But we do indeed have a magnificent male lion resting in the shade of the afternoon, sheltering from the afternoon sun, with his massive hand-sized, and I'm talking about a man's hand-sized paws crossed delicately over each other. And his thick, beautiful mane just starting to go dark. Oh, for our new viewers, and I know that we do have quite a few new viewers, this is one of the Birmingham boys, our dominant male coalition of this area. So it's very typical for people who haven't necessarily come to understand the dynamics of lions to think that a lion is basically one male to every pride, kind of like the Lion King, maybe 2 males to every pride, and that is that. But that's not actually the way that lion dynamics work. Male lions will have a territorial area that they will patrol and scent mark and defend from other males, and that will overlap with the home range of a couple of different groups or prides of females. So those of you who were watching last night's sunset safari, you saw the Nkuhuma females. The Birmingham boys, oh, what a big stretch. I love it when they lie like this and they rub their bellies. It's so sweet. Just give their chests a gentle rub. And, turn away from us completely. But never mind that. So you saw the Nkuhumas, they are also, the Birmingham boys are dominant over the Styx pride. I've just chatted to Shanae. That will be a name that is familiar to many of you. And Shanae is a guide at Nkoro, and she tells me that the Styx, 2 females and unfortunately 3 cubs are there on a buffalo kill. The mange that the Styx picked up has played absolute havoc with their numbers. just to clarify, I don't think that necessarily means that a female has died, but it does mean that another cub has died from their mange infection. And it's very, very sad. They've gone from 8 to 3. But that's just an update on the sticks and where they are. The Birmingham boy, judging by the tracks that I saw as I drove through Cheetah Plains earlier, he met up with them last night, spent a bit of time with them, and then went his separate ways. And welcome to Google Plus. You want to know how many members are in this pride. Well, we've kind of discussed in a way that the way that the prides work in the male coalitions. This is one of 4 males that are dominant in this area. Collectively, they are known as the Birmingham Boys. There started out being 5 of them. One of them died of natural causes. There are now 4 remaining. And they maintain and patrol a territory that it actually seems to have shrunk a little bit since they've established themselves and since their females have had cubs. But it seems as though their territory is roughly sort of 8,000 to 10,000 hectares in area. So there's 4 of them. They have to split up regularly to go and patrol each and every territorial boundary, make sure that there's no strange males coming in. Then they've got the Styx Pride here, 3 females and now 3 cubs. And then the Nkuhuma Pride, which are just to the north of our boundary at the moment, who have 5 females and 8 little cubs. Now, the Birmingham boys have done well so far. Those cubs will be theirs, or most likely be theirs. They certainly are under the impression that they are theirs. And that's because they've been mating with the various females of the prides of this area. And there you go, to Monty in Virginia. Welcome to our very special live safari experience. You want to know if the males always stay by themselves. And the answer is no, not necessarily. Coalitions like this that have established themselves will sometimes come together. Sometimes we see all 4 Birminghams together. Sometimes we only see 3, sometimes only 2, and then occasionally all on their own, just like this gentleman. So they split up and then they come back together again. If there is a major threat to the coalition, let's say a male is attempting, or another group of males is attempting to move in, and obviously there is strength in numbers and the lions will roar to each other and gather together to fend off the enemy. So it's not uncommon to see male lions on their own resting up as he is doing. That being said, the bonds between the coalition members are still very, very strong. So he'll go and he'll meet up with one of his buddies, they'll give each other a jolly good head rub, and off they'll go. And sometimes they'll go and spend a little bit of time with their ladies, with the females that they associate with and are dominant over, perhaps even share their meal. And by saying share their meal, I'm being very generous, because usually what happens is that the male lions take their meal and eat as much of it as they can possibly fit in their stomachs before they allow the females to feed. And nothing sleeps as comfortably as a male lion, because he knows that there is nothing out here that is a threat to him. An elephant certainly might decide to chase him, but he knows his reflexes are fast enough to escape. The only thing that is a threat to a male lion here is another male lion. Now, bananas. This is a question that we've been asked relatively regularly recently, and you're saying, my word, I can't believe that I'm so close to this lion, and why isn't he in defensive mode? And a lot of people actually ask, why don't they go into attack mode? I'm glad that you phrased it as defensive mode, though. You can see he could not be less bothered by me. That's not to say he's not a wild lion. He is 100% wild, and if you've ever walked these gentlemen on foot, you would absolutely know that that is the case, as he raises his lips and snarls at you and growls, and there's nothing like that experience. But because we're in this vehicle, because we're sitting in this vehicle, they've become used to it. They've been raised since birth, since they were cubs, with safari vehicles moving around them, with human beings being next to them in the vehicles. Being on foot is a different story. If I got out now, he'd do one of 2 things. He'd get up and run, or he'd charge at me and sort of growl and try to scare me away. We're not on the lion's menu. They're like a buffalo, an antelope. They don't necessarily want to eat us. And that's something that I think people often, they have this fear of African wildlife as though it's out to get them. None of the animals out here are really out to get us. They act the way they do either out of survival instincts, fear, fight, or flight. So I'm as much a part of his landscape as the trees and the termite mounds. Yeah, I'm not as natural. I move around, and I am natural, I suppose. My vehicle's not as natural. I move around, and it makes a bit of a noise, but that doesn't bother them in the slightest. And if you don't believe me, look at him. With his legs up in the air and his belly exposed to the warm afternoon sun, he couldn't look more comfortable if he tried. And his paw resting comfortably on his chest. If there were gold medals given out for different activities, our male lions would win the one for sleeping. Well, from one big dominant male lion on one part of the African continent, let's travel up a couple of 1,000 kilometers and see what James is looking at.
Reached the Tembo Pride. Now, for those of you who've just joined us, we're broadcasting live from the Mara Triangle. No signal? We've got signal now. Sorry, everybody, we're broadcasting live from the Mara Triangle. Brings with it one or two technical difficulties. That is one of the lionesses of the Kichwa Tembo Pride. The rest of them are lying around there in the bushes. Now, try and hunt earlier today. Apparently, one of them caught a baby warthog. I doubt she shared it very much with her friends and sisters. And off to the sort of left-hand side of your picture, we're not going to show it to you just yet. There are some topi, which is a Sabi, beautiful animal. And we think these lionesses are going to hunt. Now, the idea behind what we're doing here is to tell a migration story, first of all, and secondly, to tell you the story of some new lions. These are the Kichwa Tembo Pride, 6 lionesses, and this territory has just been taken over by 3 males called the Marsh Coalition of Males. And the Marsh Coalition comes from across the Mara River, and they, of course, we think were born to that very famous pride, the Marsh.
We are looking at a male black-bellied bustard. And he was actually calling for us just now, which was quite interesting. When he moves a little bit further away, I'll actually play his call for you so that you can hear it. It's a very interesting call. Now, every now and then, he keeps looking up towards the sky, which is quite unusual. And normally when they do that, it's if they perhaps see a big bird of prey. So something like an eagle would potentially take out a ground-dwelling bird like this. But I can't see anything flying in the sky, so I don't know what it was looking at. And he's disappearing into the distance now. It's a pity he's not facing us so you could see why they call them black-bellied bustards. Oh, there we go. You get a little glimpse. You can see that very black plumage just on the underside of it. Well, the females are lacking that. He was doing quite a strange call earlier as well, not the typical call. And off he goes. So let me play this call for you while you watch him sort of disappear over there. So what you're going to have to do, all you're going to have to do for me now is listen very carefully. Right? Are you all listening? Play it once more. It's going to call again. It's a bizarre noise. And that's what he'll do when he is calling to hopefully some females. What are you doing? Looking at us now? Yes, we've seen you. You cannot hide away from us. Very secretive birds. So as soon as he realized that we had spotted him, he moved off into the thicket, I'm afraid. But I haven't seen too many of them around. Oh, very nice to add that to your bird list, everybody. A black-bellied bustard. But let's carry on ahead. And somewhere where I'd like to go is yesterday afternoon we had a hippopotamus in a mud wallow, and hopefully we're going to find him there again this afternoon. So I'm just double checking. Excuse me. I am glaring straight into the sun, so if I look at you and I look completely dazed, it's because I'm temporarily blind. Very strong rays at the moment. Just trying to hide underneath my hat. Oh, I see a grasshopper has just landed on my bonnet. Should I try and catch it for everybody? Let's try catch it. So just bear with me. I don't think you can see it. I think it's just out of view, unfortunately. So I'm going to unplug myself. And let's see if we can get a better look. No! Let me catch it quickly. Let's see. Because it's quite a pretty one. Where did you go now? Now, it is so... Okay. I'm never going to catch it. He's too quick for me, I'm afraid. And he's gone again. Okay, I'm going to just give up now. I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit on the relaxed side. I'd be able to show you this lovely grasshopper. But what I'll do is when we stop again, I will find it in my insect book for you, which I brought along. It's going to be very handy for this evening. I think it was called a yellow wing grasshopper. But now while we carry on in search of our hippopotamus, let me plug myself in again. And I'm connected, and I'm still looking for these dwarf mongoose. I thought on this lovely warm day we were going to see quite a few. So I keep checking all the termite mounds just to see if there are any bobbing their heads out. But so far we haven't been lucky. Mongoose are one of my favorite animals just to sit and watch, with all their different personalities and their interactions between the rest of them. Right. While I carry on searching for a hippopotamus and some mongoose, I think James has managed to connect with everybody again.
Frozen again.
What? Okay, this time.
Couple of issues. Frozen cutting.
You must be all missing me a great amount. We've got another bird. We're having a birding afternoon today. You can see that little chap sitting there with its very long tail. This is a magpie shrike. Now, the shrikes are quite a big family. We don't see too many different species. I think we also see the white-crowned shrike up in this area occasionally. But our most common shrike that we are seeing on a regular basis are these lovely magpies. Now, this one is all on its own. And normally, they are quite gregarious. And gregarious means that they... Oh, what has it got? I think... Sorry. Hang on. Sorry, I don't know if it made a kill, everybody. Did you catch something? I don't know where it's gone now. Oh no, to the lyric where we've got it again. It did swoop down, and I think it may have caught an insect. Yes, you can see how it was opening and closing its bill there. I presume it maybe picked up something like a termite or something very small that it could have eaten in one gulp. And they are quite savage creatures. I don't know if you can see that little hook on the edge of its bill. Can you see that? when it turns its head toward. Just have a look at that little recurved bill. You can see there just a little point. And these birds are prolific hunters. Now I must tell you about the cousin, the fiscal shrike, which is one of my favorite shrikes. And they are quite aggressive little birds. The other name for them is a butcher bird. And what they're known to do is actually catch an array of insects and then proceed to push them through thorns or even barbed wire and sort of make a little buffet. And that's what they do to try and attract the females. Is the males will catch as many insects as they can and barb them, basically spear them through some thorns or on barbed wire. And it's quite a scary thing to see when you come around the corner and there's all these different insects and sometimes even small mice and other small birds that have been pushed through thorns. And that's what they do. That's very typical of the shrikes, though. I haven't seen the magpie shrike doing it, though. Possibly they do, but the fiscal shrike, which is smaller, lacks the long tail. The magpie shrike is the only shrike that's got this lovely long tail. And also a little bit more white plumage on it. Hello, Mummy. Mummy wants to know, how do I tell the difference between all the birds? Mummy, with great difficulty, in the beginning especially, it was very challenging. But now that I've been doing this for a few years, it becomes quite easily. So as you're going along, you sort of learn one bird from a particular family of birds, and they all look fairly similar. You just have to then learn the variations. So you look for key features. For instance, if we're looking at the shrike, one of the things is that curve, that very sharp point on the beak of the shrikes. Now, all the shrikes have that, and they also have black and white plumage. So that's very typical of them, and sort of a medium-sized bird as well. And that's how you go along. And it's the same thing with the starlings, which are bright blue. So, for instance, with the starlings, it's quite interesting as well. They're very easy to tell this sort of the difference between them because they've all got this slight variances. So, for instance, Cape Glossy starling's got a bright orange eye. The Birchill starling has got a slightly longer tail and not as iridescent as the others. And unfortunately, we have a few birds that don't belong here, for instance, like the Indian miners. And Ushka wanted to know, are these birds as menacing as the, oh my goodness, sorry, what bird? The magpies. Was that correct, Rebecca? Was it magpies that Ushka? Yeah. The Australian magpie. Sorry, I just wanted to double check there. And not as menacing, I'm afraid. We don't sort of get plagued by them, but I'll tell you what birds are plaguing us at the moment, and they're slowly developing into a character. I need to still try and capture a photo of this crew of arrow-marked babblers that we have that are coming through and harassing us. I must show you a photo. Bird book, where are you? In my box of tricks. And just even their look is quite menacing. So we have the arrow-marked babblers. I think you could probably compare to the Australian magpies. Right, you've got to look here at babblers. Where are you? Should be right at the top. There we go. 310 in my bird book. No, that's 318. I've got a very old bird book, everybody. It's been in the rain, but I've got it. Can you see this one? That is an arrow marked babbler, and you see that red eye, and they just have a very sort of dangerous look about them, and they mob you every now and then because they'll come and try and pick up all the crumbs. You know, if somebody's made toast in the morning, they've dropped a few crumbs on the floor, then I'm going to just pull my book away quickly. And then they will come through and they get very protective over the kitchen, everybody. So we're constantly chasing them away all the time. So that is the only one I can think of that you could compare to the arrow-marked, to the magpie. Let's find another bird, everybody. I can't hear any chatting away. And Dina would like to know what is the difference between a bill and a beak. It'd be nice if we could actually have a look at one. I don't know if there's too much of a difference. Possibly, I think they're very much the same thing. I think it's tomato, the same thing. Maybe someone can enlighten me, but as far as I'm aware, like I said, this is just my opinion, a bill and a beak are very much the same thing. Oh, I see some impala up ahead. Let's head on over to them and let's hope that they do not run away from us like everything else has. Oh no, we've got one crossing the road right in front of us. Good afternoon, ladies. Oh, did you see that one dash? There they go. So we did have some impala. They've now run into the thicket, everybody, and it's quite fitting that we have impala on this road, seeing as this road is called Impala Road. But I think we had another. Oh, there's a few up here on the right. Hopefully we'll get them. It's okay, ladies. In the lovely golden light. And they're all running away from us. Now, this is the most common antelope in Africa. And they are very important to have around, even though we see them so often. You have to stop and appreciate the impala, because without them, I think a lot of predators wouldn't survive. For instance, the leopards love to eat impala. It's one of their favorite choices on the antelope menu. Are there any more? No? Let's go up a little bit further. So it's important to appreciate even the most common animal in Africa. Especially, imagine something like a young male lion. Oh, hang on, sorry, before I carry on, we're at our watering hole where our friend the hippo was. You can look here to our left. And there is no hippo here. So that means we're going to have to carry on. Can you see that butterfly that's flapping its wings? Let's see if it's going to sit there for long enough. We're going to go up a little bit. There we go, straight. That where that ball of dung is. There we go, you're on it. Can you see it there? Is that a leaf now? No, there it is, to the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Oh, okay. You may have got a very quick glimpse of that butterfly, and that was a pansy. It looked like an orange pansy. And you see a lot of them hanging around the watering holes, and especially where there's quite a bit of mud. And they are lapping up all the different nutrients that you find in the soil. So that is called mud puddling, everybody. And all the impala have now run away from us, as all the other animals are. But we will keep persevering through this patch, and hopefully we'll be able to find something interesting. I'm actually very eager for the sun to drop behind the horizon this evening so we can start finding the creepy crawlies. And hopefully we'll have another bustling evening like we did last night. Nothing here just yet. Come on, mongoose. While I struggle to find some mongoose and a hippopotamus, let's go back to the Mara where James is awaiting.
Sorry everyone again, but look at this beautiful picture here, lioness and topi in the background. Our first topi. I've been wanting to show you one of these topi for weeks now. There it is, staring at the lions. Now, one of them, the one that you can see there on the left-hand side of your picture, has decided to head off from the others. The others are very obviously sitting on a termite mound to the right, and I'm not sure that John Ray can see them at the moment. He's unable to move the camera to them, but we'll try and find them at some stage. I think what's happened here is that the ones on the termite mound, if you'll imagine it, that's where the topi is looking. If you look, he's looking slightly to the right-hand side of the screen. The lions are sitting on a termite mound, obviously. So they're almost saying, look at us over here, while their sister goes around, slinks around, perhaps around the side of them, and gives chase. You can see there that Topi is not impressed. Now, Topi looks bigger than it actually is. It's only about 130 kilograms for a male, and that is about 300 pounds. So not a tiddler by any stretch of the imagination, but quite a bit, not anything like the size of a wildebeest, for example. So it's right in the size, sort of ultimate size for prey of lionesses like this. So with any luck, there will be some action very soon. You can see there the sun just starting to fade behind the Olulolo escarpment. Beautiful colours there of pink and ginger and peach. And mercifully, we have wonderful, wonderful signal. My name is James Hendry, everybody. We are broadcasting to you live from the Mara Triangle. We're following the Kichwa Tembo Pride, and they seem to be on the hunt. This time, Topi seems to be on the menu. Jean-André is on camera, Emily and Graham Wallington in the back seat, shouting at us, telling us what to do, fixing the tech, talking to the final control. They're achieving an astonishing amount back there in very cramped conditions indeed. In fact, they've got... It is raining slightly. They have the roof open, over which is a highly camouflaged bright red umbrella. It is quite a scene going on here in the Mara Triangle. It's wonderful. It's a great joy to be talking to you from here, and of course to be bringing you two broadcasts, one from the Sabi Sand and one from here. This is a proper African safari from two different locations on this most wonderful and ancient of the Earth's continents. There's Topi smell. Any questions you like? Indeed, if you have ever been to this area, or if you intend coming here, I'd love to know about that. Perhaps it's on your proverbially cliched bucket list. It certainly was on mine, and I'm so pleased and utterly, nothing could have prepared me for what I saw here. We've all seen the documentaries, etc., about this area, but good grief, I've got to tell you, being on the ground here is just a new level of wonderful. 3 Topi now, thinking about what's going on. And I'm just going to, Chandra, what I'm going to do, if you zoom out, I'm going to tilt the car slightly to the right, and that will give you a chance to show everybody the lionesses sitting on the termite mound. Say when. There we are. That was very well done, Chandra. You're like a walking tripod.
Except I'm sitting.
Except you're sitting, yes, quite. There we are. Very steady shot, as our Chandra achieved. Now, she's sitting on that termite mound because she's making herself clearly obvious to the Topi. I'm going to keep an eye on the lioness to the left-hand side of where your picture is now, and because she is going to think about moving towards those Topi fairly soon. Now, in case you haven't been with us for a while, we are, of course, going to be broadcasting late into the night here. It's going to be a 7.5-hour show, might be even longer, depending on what these lions do. Ooh, I've just spotted another lioness off to the right-hand side, which Jean-André can't see. She's over my head. There are a couple of elephants looking at her. Oh, you know what? We saw this lioness earlier. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her while you look at that one on the termite mound. She is injured. We don't know why. We haven't seen her before. We met her for the first time today. Look at the perfect coloration that this lioness has. She's sitting there, and you can see she's perfectly coloured. For when she sinks down off that termite mound, she will become virtually invisible, as has her sister. This is just very special. Hello, Darlene, in New Hampshire. You're obviously well versed in the politics of conservation in this area. You say, is there still a problem between the Maasai herdsmen and the wildlife of the area? There is conflict from time to time, absolutely, and that's because there are no fences here, you see. So these lands, these great game reserves, go into traditional hunting grounds. They go into the sort of herd lands of the Maasai people, who are very famous people throughout the world, the Maasai. are. And yes, there is conflict from time to time, but at the moment I understand that things are at a hiatus. When animals stray, however, into the community lands, yes, then there can be some conflict, and that's inevitable. And in much the same way as it happens in South Africa, of course, conservation land is a contested space, largely because before the advent of white settlers and their guns, while I would hardly describe the hunting of animals as a sort of living in harmony with them, there was, shall we say, a sustainable usage of the animals in the area. Then white settlers came in, South Africa and East Africa, shot everything to take the ivory, and shot all the predators so that they could farm, shot all the elephants also for farming, and then suddenly discovered that we needed to protect animals. And the people who lost out the most there were the local people. And that's why there is this conflicted space, certainly with the Maasai in this area, and many of the local people in South Africa. And we've spoken at length about those kind of issues in South Africa, which I think are improving slowly, especially with the advent of tourism and all of the jobs that tourism provides. And certainly in this place, that is definitely the case. Hello, Gracie, aged 9. It's the first time I've spoken to you, I think, from Kenya, and you say you like to see the new animals that we're seeing here. And what do I want to see while I'm here? Gracie, it's really wonderful to be here, and I'm so glad you're enjoying seeing all these new animals. For me, Gracie, you know what? Animals are wonderful. All the different animals here have been astounding to see. I've loved seeing Topi for the first time, and Thompson's gazelles for the first time, and the elephants walking across the scenery. But you know, Gracie, for me, it's been the space, the scenery here, all the incredible views that we have of this massive area. You can see, look at that there. We don't see that back home. Well, there are parts of South Africa where we see it, but we don't see that sort of view in Kruger. And for me, to be in amongst that kind of scenery with all the amazing animals that we find here, well, that's been to me the real highlight. Righty, we're going to sit right here. We're going to stay with these lions deep into the night, and while we do that, let's head across to Taylor. She's got some elephants to show you.
In my opinion, everybody, you are looking at the greatest animal in Africa. Well, they are the largest mammal in Africa, and just everything about this animal, the way that they communicate with the other members, the way that they eat all the time, and the way that they don't let any vegetation stand in their way, are just a few of the reasons that I think they are the greatest animal in Africa. It's just a small breeding herd that we've got here. I've only seen 4 or 5 individuals. I think there were a few more in the thicket. I can hear quite a bit of rumbling going on, and quite thankfully they are moving away from the sun, which is providing us with a lovely light. So thank you, elephants, for being the first animal this afternoon for cooperating, because we have been waiting and persevering all day long. You can see that young calf at the back not wanting to be left too far away from mom. Seems to be quite a nervous elephant, this little one. Looks quite old, probably almost 2 years old, but not quite ready to just leave mom's side just yet. Normally when they're getting to those age, they're quite curious and they're playing with all the other members of the herd, but not today, I'm afraid. He's actually still got a few more coming. I can just hear them munching in the background, but I can't see them yet. Quite daunting. But they seem to be very relaxed. They haven't given us any warning signs. They're just enjoying a lovely afternoon stroll. Now, unfortunately, everybody, they are walking down a road where there are power lines. So you're probably going to see those every now and then, but we need to try and reposition to try and get a better view of these elephants. So we shall do that. When the animals move, we move too. Sometimes more often than we want to, like last night when trying to follow that male leopard. That was interesting, trying to navigate through a silver cluster leaf and bush willow forest. But let's watch this young chap over here, or young lady perhaps I should say. I can't actually see from here. It's an awkward angle. Show me either your head, or can you turn your rump so that I can see if you're a male or a female? Not showing me just yet. Covering all the parts that I would need to see to be able to tell if it's a male or female. Now normally we look at the head, the forehead, but this elephant is not showing us very well. Come on, turn it a little bit more so I get a better angle. So if you go back to the back legs now, there we go. You can see that that is indeed a female now. She was covering her lady bits earlier. So you can either try and spot a female elephant that way, or hopefully when she eventually shows her forehead properly, you'll notice that it is quite square. It's got quite sharp angles to it, whereas a male elephant's head is quite round. Now she's moving, like I said, so we will move to, actually we've got a few more ellies coming just over here. Let's watch them come through these guarri trees. Hopefully we'll get a nice gap. Yes, we're going to get a nice gap. Have a look to the left. There we go. That's a nice one to see. You can see that this is a female. See how sharp and rectangular her head is. And if you look very carefully, you can also see that she's got some mammary glands starting to swell, just slightly. So possibly there's a calf inside. Or maybe she's got a young calf at foot. Oh no, she's got a young calf at foot, everybody. Look at the gap between mom and calf. And this one is much younger. You're going to see it pop in. Now look at that big distance between the two. Much younger than the one we saw. This one was obviously not quite ready to give up its meal just yet. Trying to play catch up now and eat at the same time. Multitasking is hard. This looks like a little boy. Sorry everybody, I go very quiet sometimes. I'm just watching and appreciating everything that's going on at the moment. Now look at this little one's trunk. You can use it quite well. So I think it's coming up to about a year old, having able to use its trunk quite well. And Google Plus would like to know, how much does an elephant's trunk weigh, an adult elephant's trunk? You've stumped me on that one, but I can only imagine a quite heavy, because say if we're talking about a big male elephant, oh my goodness, they're huge animals. I mean, they can weigh up to anywhere between 5 and 6 tons, the entire body mass. Now, their trunks are very, very thick at the base, and obviously they taper down towards the end, and they've got lots and lots of muscles in that trunk as well. And we all know that muscle weighs more than fat. So I'm going to do a bit of a gamble. I've never seen the exact weight in a book of an elephant's trunk before. I'm going to guess, and I'm going to say a fully grown male elephant's trunk probably weighs almost 100 kilograms. And hopefully, I don't know if I'm right or not. I have to do a little bit of research, but maybe if some of you at home could help me and help me find out how much does an elephant's trunk weigh. And you can either hashtag Safari Live with your answer on Twitter, or you can send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv, and I look forward to hearing your response and to see how far off I was. Very important that we keep learning as we go along, everybody. It's impossible to know everything, and that's why I'm enjoying this job so much, is because we keep getting different questions all the time, and new questions too. How amazing is that? Oh, here they're coming out. Now, while we're driving along this road where you can see the power lines, the telephone wires along the way, they're quite tall. And don't you think they'd make quite a good rubbing post for something like an elephant? And I know Debbie is wondering if they have ever, let's have a look at these ellies coming through now. This is really pretty. Debbie wants to know if they've ever tried to push up against those poles. I'd imagine so, that they'd try and lean up against them, but there's nothing for them to eat on that pole. So unless it was possibly a very frustrated elephant, like maybe a big elephant bull and must, maybe he'd try and push them down. But otherwise, they're not too bothered by them. They sort of leave them alone. Now, at the base, often you see on the base of these telephone poles, and I'll try and show you, they put these big metal sheets around them to try and discourage something like a rhino or elephant or a buffalo from rubbing up against it. I haven't seen too many elephants pushing over wires, but look at this elephant now as she is digging in this. What is she digging? She's digging out a sickle bush. She's obviously looking for the roots. Look at that. Look at the amazing strength that she's got. Look at her. She's getting it. See how she's using her trunk and her feet all at the same time? Oh, girl, just a little bit more around the edges. There, she's hooked it on her foot. Did you see that? See how she's using her heel now? Almost got it. Not quite strong enough to pull it out just yet with her trunk, so she's using her feet to try and rip it out. Come on, you can do it. Oh, look at the strength. And there you go, that's what she's after. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness, look at this. Wow. Stripping it right out. Woo! What a wonderful reward you got. A lovely, tasty bit of root. Are you going to eat it? Or are you just going to... Yes, you are munching on it. Trying to strip all the nice juicy parts of it and get rid of all the old dry bits that nobody wants to eat. I bet you didn't think that elephants could almost do a handstand. Yeah, I changed my mind. It's actually quite a big herd of elephants. I can see some more coming through the back behind this elephant. If you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you can actually just see them moving in. Oh no, actually they were just behind that other elephant. I don't know if you can see them. That's okay. We can keep watching this female because she's being quite entertaining. You can just see them moving through at the back. Now this elephant is munching on the roots at the moment, and once the grass grows and comes through the ground, they're going to start moving onto those luscious bits of grass. It's a bit short now for the elephant to be able to eat it, and Liz is wondering, can the animals eat the grass quicker than it can grow? Liz, that is 100% true. Of course they can. It's crazy, especially if we don't keep having consistent amounts of rain. The grass will only grow to a certain length, and then of course the animals can munch it all up before it can even reach new lengths. Let's see what's going to happen here. Hello, elephants. Are you going to walk past us nicely, or should I? Can you hear me now? Hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, let me turn this on and off. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? Nobody can hear me. Nobody can know why you can't hear me. I have no idea why you cannot hear me. We're just on a mute movie, everybody. You're just watching. I'm not muted.
No.
I've turned it on. Now I'm muted. Now I'm muted. No, I'm not muted. You cannot hear me. You cannot hear me. Bex, I don't know what the problem is. My mic is on.
Short ahead.
Sorry everybody, I'm singing away, and the ladies in final control couldn't hear a word I was saying. It's okay, big girl, relax. We just had a whole lot of Ellies come up behind me. You can see them here. Hello lovely lady, what's wrong? It's okay, beautiful. We're just here watching you. So did you enjoy me singing, everybody? You can look at them, they're surrounding us. But they are so relaxed with us. So everybody, this is perfectly okay. Don't be alarmed. Just enjoy. And I wish you were all sitting on my vehicle with me and were able to see how amazing it was to see these elephants so close. It's quite spectacular. Here comes another one coming through another elephant. Right, everybody, we're going to let these elephants carry on passing us. I'm going to try and get in front of them again. But let's go across to Jamie, who's got a feathery friend for you.
Termite mound? Well, the sort of the termite bulges, Dave, where the turtle doves are, but just slightly in front of them. There. No, that's a log. That's not a dwarf mongoose, that's a log combination and some zebra dung. My mistake. Nice turtle dove, though. Where are these alarm calling dwarf mongoose? Because I can hear them. They've obviously frantically gone to ground in the presence of an aerial predator. Has terrified them all. So a dwarf mongoose is a tiny little mongoose and would most definitely be on the menu for an eagle such as this one. I'm just double checking through my bird book to see if I'm not missing an obvious solution, but I don't think I am. My first instinct was steppe eagle. And I'm double checking that. It's always a good idea to keep double checking yourself, but it's not one of the booted or the spotted. It's not the lesser spotted eagle. Most definitely not. My only concern is that the gape's a little bit short. The gape of a steppe eagle usually stretches behind the eye. The gape, what I mean by the gape is where the beak joins, the upper and the lower beak joins, and then you see that kind of yellow strip. It stretches past there. What a stunning view, though. Come on, eagle. Come back down. I'm keen to hear what you all think as to what it might be. Our options are steppe eagle. It's not a lesser spotted. Its eyes too light. It's not a tawny. Its eyes too dark, I mean. And that pretty much those are pretty much our options. Has to be a steppe. Amazing. I'm going to just sit and double check here quickly through my bird book. While I do, let's head across to the Mara for a different type of predator.
Hello everybody, we're on the hunt. Here we are in the Mara Triangle on the hunt. This is why we came here. We're watching the Kichwa Tembo Pride moving across the plains stealthily in a southwesterly direction. What they're looking for, I think, are the 3 topi that have absconded on sighting these lions. But now, as the light fades, it's all starting to favour the lionesses. There are 5 lionesses here, and there's also a young male. So the other lioness, the youngster who we saw trying to couch favour with those males, well, look at that. She's off still with the males, and this young male who we hadn't heard about, but here he is, he's with the pride, he's going to help them hunt here. So he's probably still learning the ropes. He's probably just about 2 years old, probably roughly the same age, actually, as that young female who's with the males. And this lioness to the right, Jean-Marie, I think she's the one that might be injured slightly. She's the one who's been a little bit reticent to walk with them. But there she is. She's looking at Jean-Marie and the bright red umbrella that is currently shielding him. Isn't that lovely? We're not going to go to infrared just yet. We've got a little bit of light left, but eventually we're going to go to infrared. And we've had some nice time with these lions as they move. So with any luck, they'll be completely used to us by the time we have to turn the infrared on. And just listen, everyone. Beautiful sounds. Maybe you can hear the pitter-patter of the rain. You can hear 1 or 2 birds calling. Hello, Marsha. You wondering if the sound of the rain masks the creeping up of the lions? Yes, I think it does, Marsha. But the other thing that the rain does, of course, is dull their smell, I think. And they are walking into the wind, which is quite interesting. Normally we assume they would use the wind to their advantage, but in this case, anything they walk towards will probably smell them. Sorry, they're walking with the wind, not into it. There we go. Now, just to keep you posted, we've got 2 special pieces of technology here. We've got the infrared, which we'll show you in a little while. We've also got a thermal imaging camera. Now, the reason we've got all this, and we're not just driving around with a great big bank of stadium spotlights, is that we want to be able to follow these lions and not affect their hunt. We want to be observers, not participants, in exactly the same way as we do at Djuma. And we've got these toys, and we've got a great expanse of land to follow these lions on the hunt. And that's why we reckon that the chances of us getting a live hunt here are that much easier, perhaps, than getting them at Djuma right now, because there is this great expanse of land, very few trees in it, and just a massive amount of animals for these animals to hunt. So, time will tell what happens. It's a gamble to see what they're going to do. But we've got time, and we've got space, and we've got gas in the tank, power in the batteries, and a great will to see what the lions of the Mara Triangle get up to once darkness falls. Jean-Marie is not going to be able to pan or tilt the camera to view my visage at the moment. That's because I am still sheltered by the roof on top. I cannot drive with an umbrella. I know that might seem pathetic to many of you, but it's very difficult to drive with an umbrella out of the roof. So please do talk to us, #SafariLive, questions@wildearth.tv. That's the umbrella there, shielding Jean-Marie, being held by the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Producer Graham Wallington. No task is too small for Graham Wallington. There he is, getting very wet indeed outside. Look, they're just having a bit of a play there. Hello, Joey in Australia. You're wondering about whether or not there are any other prides in this area that we could be following. Joey, there are lots. There are probably 4 or 5. It's actually very difficult to get any decent information on how many there are. It's a big area, and it's relatively unconcentrated tourist-wise, and many of the tourists hanging around in the area that we're in now. But yes, there are other prides. We could follow them. They are further to the south. There are 2 disadvantages with that. The first disadvantage, I'm just going to get around this bush, Andre. The first disadvantage with that is that they are in an area where there aren't that many tourists, which means that it's quite difficult to find them straight away. And the big thing about these things is that we need to be with them as the sun goes down. And then secondly, this northern section of the Mara Triangle, especially before they've had too much heavy rain, is very pleasantly easy to drive off-road in. There is a lot of what we call black cotton soil in this area, which means that it will become inundated and difficult to drive off-road, well, probably around November, December time. But now it's great. Further south of here, there are quite a lot of rocks, there are quite a lot of rocky areas, and of course there's nothing that will break a Land Rover more quickly, other than a guide in the Sabi Sands driving it, of course, than a rock. Look at those elephants. Old matriarch. Look at that's the Mara River in the background there. Those enormous trees, and in the day there are an astonishing number of different shades of green. There we go, they're just walking off in front of us now. Look how perfectly coloured they are. One of them's picked up a stick. That's the young male, I think, is it? Yes, it is. Young male, like all young males, horsing about. Hello, David in Napa. We're a long way from your home. Lovely to have you with us. You say, how good is a lion's eyesight? David, good and bad, like in just about any discussion of good and bad, difficult to say. So they are very good at seeing at night time. They are not very good at seeing colour. So they have excellent night vision. They'll be seeing probably 20 times what you can at night, and that's because they have very specially adapted eyes that can see contrast much more effectively than ours can, but it does mean that they sacrifice colour vision. So they don't see the great colours that we see, the verdant greens and the males with his stick there to the left of us. They don't see all the great colours that we see, and they also don't see things like lilac-breasted rollers. To them are fairly drab birds, a bit like rattlings to sticklers. What on earth that lioness is doing there? Oh, she's picked up a sod. That's very nice. A sod of earth with some grass in it. Well done. She's also quite young. That's him, sorry. There's only one male, isn't there, John Rowe? There are 2. I think there's just the one. He's just getting hair under his arms there. You can see that slightly awkward teenage time. I remember it well myself. Mercifully, it's over in my case. And there is that IR, John Rome. So we're now into the infrared, just so that we can see them a little better. And the colour, of course, this is quite like lion vision, I imagine. I imagine this is pretty much what it looks like if you're a lion, not the rich colours that we get. And I'm just going to turn now. They're having a little play before they go hunting. It's fantastic. A signal is holding, and the rest of the pride just to the right of where you're looking now. And I'm just going to get a little bit further on and then stop. We have to be quite close to them for the infrared light to work. There we are. And they've been lying down here. It was quite a hot day. Well, I mean, relatively hot, probably about 30 degrees Celsius or so, 85 Fahrenheit. But now they're most assuredly on the move. There we go. We do have a little bit of white light as well, everyone, so we'll probably use that as the evening goes on, so that you can get a little bit of an impression of the colour. And if they make a kill, well, then we will put white light on, because the white light won't disturb them once they're actually feeding. Now, whoops, hold on everybody. Couple of holes here. All right there, Gendre. That was him grunting as his ribs broke as they slammed into the sunroof. The lioness is playing up ahead in front of us. Stop there. And there we go. Oh, it's great to see them on the hunt. Last night, everyone, I don't know if you joined us, we watched lions for some time in South Africa and here. And the South African lions did a bit of playing and roaring. The Kenyan lions did a bit of roaring, absolutely no playing. They did a lot of sleeping. Thankfully, things are not the same now. We'll get onto the road behind them. Alright, while we just get onto the road here, we'll head across to Jamie, get an update from her, and we'll keep following the Kichwa Tembo Pride as they head into the night.
As the sun sets across the African continent, we have this spectacular view. I say the sun sets as if it's still setting, and it's set, it's done. But it is a truly spectacular view that we're enjoying right as far east as we can possibly be, all the way right next to the Kruger National boundary. About 150 meters to the west of me lies the great Kruger National Park, vast expanse of wilderness, and to the east the magnificent open area of Cheetah Plains, and to the south of that the magnificent open area of Mala Mala. And I have to say, it is such a pleasure to have a look at this incredible view and see just a little bit of green poking up above the soil. A blanket of green. It really is a thoroughly pleasant surprise. It would have been a more pleasant surprise if there'd been cheetah lying just there, but unfortunately that is not the case. But you never know. Dave and I have had some spectacular luck here before with a cheetah, 2 male cheetah popping out and hunting wildebeest right in the middle of the open area, which is something I dream that will happen to us again in the future, perhaps with ostrich this time. Oh, and look, there's some Mala Mala guests racing off somewhere, having had a wonderful afternoon safari, no doubt. Can you have a look at where they were, Dave? Just in case.
Just not sure where it was.
And Joanna also thought that. I was thinking, sorry, I actually meant to mention that while we examined the open area on the subject of the bird. We were saying it's not a steppe eagle because the gape's not far enough behind the eye. When it took off, it was immediately apparent that it was a tawny eagle. It made it a great deal easier to see. The light underneath the wings gave it away. Steppe eagles don't have that. Tawny eagles have got quite a light underside to its wings. One thing I'm not 100% sure about is that it's a rufous morph. I know rufous morphs do have dark eyes. We'll just have a look at what Joanne's talking about. I'm not sure that it was a rufous morph. I'm not even sure. It possibly was a dark morph, and we just couldn't see how dark the eye was. So this was our tawny eagle. I don't think it was quite light enough to be rufous morph. Right, let's head all the way back across the African continent, or halfway across the African continent, and back across to James.
I'm indeed not James, everybody. I am Taylor, and we are tailing a herd of elephants. Now, they've picked up the pace. They have stopped eating, though this one has taken some dinner with it. You can see it's got a branch in its mouth, this one straight ahead of us. And I'm hoping that they're actually going to go towards Djuma Pan, everybody. Elephants like to drink sort of either very early in the morning or just as the sun sets. So I'm hoping that that is the case this evening. Hang on, I have to just show you what the view behind me looks like. Please excuse. Okay, everybody, you'll have to find out about that view later. Head to James.
Now everybody, we've got something very interesting here. Hyenas trailing the lions. We don't see this very often. They think that these lions are going to kill something, much like us, and they're now following them. So we're going to do the same thing. Oh, here comes a lion. Look, 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 they've turned round. They're the lions in the background. So I'm going to have to keep the white light on, that's okay. It's not going to do any harm. They're not trying to hunt. So those lions have spotted the hyenas. There's another 2, 3 hyenas coming behind us, Genre, to the left-hand side. They're coming through. We're quite close to a hyena den, everybody. Look at them, they've seen each other. Now, this clan of hyenas has been researched for probably 50 years. And some of the dens here, we think, could be up to 1,000 years old. So there's a real story behind these hyenas. Look at her, brazenly walking towards the bigger predator. We'll just keep watching out to the left-hand side, see if other hyenas don't come. Look at that. Chandra, I'm going to sneak forward. Stay on them there if you can. Just get you a slightly better view. Let's stop there. She comes walking towards us. There we go. Hyena's running. That looks like a very pregnant hyena or a very fat one. There's the young male. Another hyena coming from the left, Chandri. It's all quite difficult to follow, everybody. It's tremendously exciting, isn't it? There's another hyena loping in, a younger one, smelling where they've been. There comes a lion right, to the right, Chandri. Lion chasing hyenas. It's now heaving rain out of the sky. Chandri, you'll just tell me if you have to come back inside, eh? I'm going to turn slightly now to the right. Give you a slightly better view. How's that? You're right there. See, now the reason it becomes quite difficult, everybody, is that I cannot actually see where these hyenas are. It's become dark here, so I have to watch the monitor. There goes the lion. The hyena is now turning to go after her. I'm going to sneak forward a bit here. Keep an eye on them, Jandre. I can't see them. I'm unsighted. You see anything? 2 o'clock. Try not to drive into an aardvark hole here. So I don't think that you'd see that very often in the Kruger. You know, the hyenas are very brazen here. David, I think your comment was it looks like there could be a fight. Well, there might be, but I think they'll probably try and avoid each other. What is at 10? Hyenas and lions at 10 o'clock. That should be straight in front of us. Oh gosh, there's an aardvark hole. Let's try and avoid that. This is wonderful. I can see them in front. I'm just going to increase speed slightly. Hold on, everybody. Oh, there's a great conflagration going on. Let me move forward a bit quicker. The lions and hyenas are very close to each other. Hold on, going to be a bit of a bump on the right. Woo! Over we go. And again. Now, I suspect these hyenas are hoping for a quick, easy meal. There they go, chasing the lions. But if they're around, the lions are not going to kill anything, you see. And the lion's not too worried about the vehicle. I think the hyenas might be slightly. I think they're going to the left-hand side here, this thicket. Hold on, everyone. Don't spill on your laps. Oh, hyena coming in from the front there. This is tremendous. Until we hit a hole, of course, in which case my front teeth will be knocked out and it won't be so tremendous. Any sight of them, Jandri? 2 o'clock. There we go, lions and hyenas all in front of us there. I'm going to keep going. There's just one one lion in front. Try and get a little bit close to the lions. Any sight there, chaps? 2 o'clock still. You might be able to see them running. Lions dead ahead. Hello, Paul. You're wondering if the hyenas can see as well as the lions in the dark. Yes, they can, easily as well. There they are. I can just see the lions in front. Straight in front. There's one moving off. Now they're regrouping the lions. I don't think they're going to... Oh, right next to us. Look at this. The big standoff. Look, look, look. It's a young male now. That's very young to be marking territory. I think he's only doing it, of course, because he's being challenged by the hyenas. In the background I can hear other lions calling, perhaps the female that belongs to this pride. I think there's more than one young male here, everybody. Very difficult to tell exactly what's going on. Isn't this special? Hey, here we are in the Mara Triangle, broadcasting live in the dead of the night, hyenas and lions playing out that eternal conflict that's gone on for years and years and years. Okay, let's carry on. No, hang on. Well, there's quite something. There's coming interesting in front there. Chandra, right in front of us, at this sort of edge there, in that thicket, right there, dead straight ahead. There's a lion waiting. No, to the left. There, straight ahead. To the right. No, right up, stop, middle of frame, there we go. She's waiting there to see if they come closer, I think. She'll burst out of the bushes at them. Or she'll just follow the others. This is just incredible. Hey? Chandra, are you getting cold up there?
No, excitement's keeping me warm.
The excitement's keeping him warm, everybody. There, she's marking territory. This is very typical, of course, lion behavior, any predator behavior after conflict, for them to exhibit some kind of territoriality, and that's what's going on here. The hyenas are still coming up behind, 3 or 4 of them. There we go, 5 of them. The tails up in that typical sort of flag-waving, banner-bearing fashion that they do. Okay, let's move on. This is amazing. Big hole in front. Hello, Katrina. You say, would lions kill these hyenas? Oh, yes, absolutely. If they can get hold of one of them, they'd most certainly kill it. It happens regularly. Now, we're parallel with the hyenas. We're going to keep going parallel with them. They are not so sure about the car. The lions don't care at all. So I think we'll just stick with the lions and let the hyenas sort of move along next to us. Now, they're just keeping an eye on where the lions are, keeping sight of them. And that's the same thing we're going to try and do. Now, this is very special indeed. There's one of the lionesses waiting behind for them. You can see that hole. James, there's a Askari next to me, everyone, called James. I'll just say hello to him. James, if you see a hole, you must just shout. Okay, don't be afraid to shout at me, because this could end very quickly if I drive into a hole. He's very politely telling me there's a hole, everyone, instead of slapping me upside the head, which is what he should have done. Can you see the lions, anyone? Sorry? Straight ahead.
80 meters, 12 o'clock.
80 meters, 12 o'clock. Thank you, Graham. Watch for holes, please. There's hyenas going straight towards the lions. Hello David Ryan, you want to know how on earth we can tell who the dominant female hyena is? At this stage, David, I've got absolutely no idea. It's very difficult to tell in this case. Although the matriarch of the hyena clan is often the largest female. There the lions are in front of us, straight ahead. But in this case, it's dark. We can't get a good view of who's leading the pack, who's leading the charge. And often, you know, it'll be males who lead them on this kind of a hunt. But it basically takes, there's something behind them. They've gone into hunting posture. I just saw a flash of eyes. David, so you need to see them at the den, basically, before you can figure out who the matriarch is. There, the hyenas are running. It's going to have to increase speed a bit. There they go. Something's going on here. Something's going on to the right-hand side, Jean-Marie. Come into another clearing. Let's flick around here. Oh, jeepers. We've arrived at a hyena den. I nearly drove into it. It's going to turn to the right. I don't want to run anything over. Can you see the lions, anyone? There. Look, what's going on there? You see anything there, Jean? Have they caught anything? There the lions are, all of them. Oh, this is fantastic. The rain is pouring, everybody. The lions are down. I wonder if they haven't killed something there. No, I think maybe they've stepped into the den by mistake. Look at them. Look how cross they are. This is astounding. Can you believe it? I don't know if you can hear them growling. Look at the hyena coming up behind them. So we, just like the lions, I think we've stumbled on the den site now. It sounds like there's a tractor here, everybody. All those lions are growling, and they're surrounded. Oh, here they come. To the left-hand side, I'm just going to tell you, we're going to stay on the lions, if you like, Jandre. To the left of them, there seems to be a gathering of hyenas. They're moving in now. That's what these lions are facing. I think come wide a bit, Jandre. They might be quite close. There they are. Now, as we know, even if you are at a den site, if they're very young cubs, they'll just disappear down into the termite mound. They'll be completely safe. But these hyenas is a big clan. It's a big clan apparently of about 50 of them. And if they start to rally each other, these lions will be in trouble. See, they don't want to move. Oh, this is amazing. This is exactly why we wanted to come here and do this, everyone. They might not be hunting, but we're witnessing one of the most ancient battles there is in nature. Hyenas versus lions. 1 and 2 on the predator hierarchy out here. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2 for both of them. Look at those hyenas coming in. There's no natural light on them at all. That's all infrared. So although it might look like we might be favoring one over the other, we are not. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I say, the lions growling. I'm not sure why 6 lions should be afraid of this many hyenas, but there might be others, perhaps on the other side, around here. Gosh, this is special. So if you have just joined us, everyone, we're here in the Mara Triangle. This is the Kichwatembo Pride, the principal pride of lions up in the northern parts of the triangle. This is an ancient hyena clan. They've had dens here for probably 1,000 years. And these Them and their ancestors, their antecedents, have been fighting over these plains for millennia. There is a bit of moisture getting into the car, everybody. Gendre? Oh gosh. Oh Josh. Hang on, everyone. I'm going to move this bag. It's got very wet. It's got camera equipment in it.